As soon as they were inside with the door shut, Zara Sinclair slipped off Ethan Young and slammed him against it. Right here? Is that okay? Leaning against the door, Ethan Young felt a sudden tension, a mix of nervousness and thrill. He wrapped his arms around Zara's waist, his gaze deep and intense as he looked at her. She was wearing his bathrobe, which swallowed her small frame, pooling around her feet where her toes peeked out. Even though she was completely covered, he felt inexplicably thirsty. Is that okay? A man couldn't say no. Ethan proved he was more than okay with his actions, lowering his head to kiss her. A sound escaped Zara's throat, followed by a loud banging on the door behind them. Neither paid any attention to what Serena Sinclair was yelling outside, like ignoring the real expression behind a clown's smile. Zara grabbed Ethan's hand, placing it on the knot of her robe's belt. "Untie it for me." Ethan's throat felt tight. His fingers slipped through the belt loops. It didn't take much force, loosening easily. Zara shrugged, and the large robe slid down her shoulders, piling in soft folds on the floor, hiding her feet. She lifted one leg, stepping onto the fabric with her bare foot, kneading it softly like a kitten, letting out little hums. Ethan's hand traced the silky fabric of the slip she wore underneath. His eyes, which had been closed, snapped open. He looked at the garment clinging to Zara. The slip barely covered her hips, revealing long, pale legs. The smooth line of her neck flowed elegantly down her spine. His hand rested on her delicate shoulder blades. She was beautiful, and the slip was lovely, but the thin layer of silk sparked an inexplicable urge within him, a desire to destroy it, to tear it away. Zara released her hold on his neck and spun around in front of him, then winked. "Like what you see." A fire ignited inside Ethan. Despite the winter cold, beads of sweat prickled his neck. He swallowed hard, his voice rough. "I do." The slip was nice, but the woman wearing it was even better. "Then, you have my permission to destroy it." Like unwrapping a gift. Some people prefer to carefully undo the packaging, preserving the paper, while others rip it open as fast as possible, just wanted to get to what's inside without damaging it. Right now, Ethan was the former, exercising restraint, afraid of hurting Zara. She stood before him like an exquisite, mysterious present, fulfilling all his curiosity and desire. Unwrapping her slowly, piece by piece, brought its own satisfaction. Zara's approach was far less controlled. She grabbed Ethan's shirt, yanked it hard to both sides, and buttons popped off, scattering onto the floor. Their heartbeats pounded wildly in their chests, racing against each other. The persistent banging on the door was grating, slightly souring the mood. Ethan swept Zara up into his arms. Her eyes scanned their surroundings, landing on the sofa. The couch. He obliged. He chose blueberry, Zara's favorite. It felt like the first time, like stumbling into an uncharted territory full of temptation, a little hesitant at first, but gradually easing into it. He remembered seeing a phrase online. Asterisk, no one can truly understand what another person is going through. Asterisk, he'd agreed with it before, but now, he wanted to argue. Seeing the tears welling at the corners of Zara's eyes, he knew it wasn't from pain. Their gazes met, easily reading each other's thoughts. He understood her emotions. She knew what was on his mind. The leather sofa felt a bit cool. The coffee table was awkward. The bathroom was small, if only there was a large bathtub. The best place was still the bed, big and soft, though it swayed a little. People should do the right things in the right places, but Zara still found herself thinking about her floor-to-ceiling windows back home. Tonight, Zara had come to a conclusion and understood a truth. Some say love at first sight is just lust, while others say love that grows over time is a calculated choice. Love isn't determined by duration, but a fulfilling sex life definitely is. Isn't love about being drawn by looks, captivated by talent, intoxicated by deep affection, loyal to character, and mesmerized by the physical? Tears rolled from the corners of her eyes, disappearing into her tousled hair. Zara held Ethan tightly, whispering in his ear, "I long to be close like this with you, to do every absurd and intimate thing imaginable." Zara never thought talking about sex was shameful. "I love you" naturally included loving his body. Because of love, she wanted to be closer. Asterisk, I want your body, and likewise, I want to give you all of me. I want you to be obsessed with me, unable to bear being apart, addicted to me. I want to look into your eyes and feel the depth of your love gazing back at me. I want you to hold me without reservation, to explore every part of me. Asterisk, the noise outside the door had stopped at some point, but the heat inside the room continued unabated. The relationship between Ethan and Zara shifted from a subtle boundary to something much clearer. a clear knowledge of what they wanted, what they desired, and what they were willing to pay for it. Ethan was thinner than she'd imagined. He'd lost a significant amount of weight in just 10 days. Lying beneath him, Zara gently touched his face, her heart aching for him. Ethan caught her hand, bringing it to his lips, kissing her palm. It tickled. His heavy breath, warm and damp, washed over her skin. Ethan, Zara cupped his face. My love, let me take care of you from now on. Ethan froze for a moment, the glint of moisture visible in his eyes. His eyelids reddened, his lowered lashes trembling with restraint. He didn't speak, only held the woman beneath him tighter, harder. 4 a.m. Discarded clothes lay scattered on the floor. The contents of the trash can tell their own story. Zara lay dazed in bed, her body too lazy to move. She said she would take care of Ethan, but in the end, he was the one taking care of her, carrying her to the bathroom to clean up, changing the sheets. Zara's slip was ruined, and it was the only one she'd brought. Luckily, Ethan had clothes here. He picked out his most comfortable shirt from the closet for her to wear. Zara squinted, exhausted. Ethan might be thin, but he didn't lack strength. She'd witnessed firsthand how he transformed from a gentle puppy into a wolf, a ravenous one at that. The sky at 5 a.m. was truly dark. Zara was dead tired, but Ethan still seemed energetic. Maybe it was just natural talent. Youth really had its advantages when it comes to stamina. Zara recalled Grandma Wood's words, marveling at how sharp old folks' judgment could be. Ethan really had incredible endurance, tireless strength. It seemed she might have to find a way to slow him down next time. She was a little intimidated by this intensity. Zara liked sleeping on her side. Ethan wrapped his arms around her waist, gently rubbing her stomach and legs. Still uncomfortable? Zara nestled against his arm, humming lazily. No, I'm just so sleepy. Sleep, Ethan murmured, burying his face in her neck, his voice low and raspy. Good night, my wife. Even though Ethan Young had gone to bed late, he was up before 8 the next morning to get breakfast. Thinking Zara Sinclair might feel a bit sore when she woke up, he even made a point to pick up some soothing balm. Back home, Ethan Young set the breakfast on the table and tiptoed into the bedroom. He crouched beside the bed, gently touching Zara Sinclair's forehead to check for a fever. After their unrestrained night and the cold weather, he worried she might have caught a cold. Thankfully, her temperature was normal. Zara Sinclair twitched her nose, murmuring soft, discontented sounds in her sleep, lost in some unknown dream. Despite the late night, Zara Sinclair's complexion was still radiant, fair with a healthy pink glow. He gently stroked her hair for a moment before leaning down, unable to resist kissing her softly. He decided not to wake her. He'd worn her out last night. She needed the extra sleep. Ethan Young quietly closed the bedroom door. He gathered their discarded clothes from the night before and put them in the washing machine. Then he started cleaning, mopping the floors, wiping down the door, the sofa, the coffee table, the bathroom surfaces, the chairs. Everything. When the washing machine finished, Ethan Young took the clothes out piece by piece to put them in the dryer. He noticed his shirt from the night before. All 7 buttons were gone. Ethan Young was frugal by nature and couldn't bear to throw the shirt away. He gathered the buttons he found scattered on the floor, planning to sew them back on himself once the shirt was dry. While the machine handled the regular clothes, delicates needed hand washing. He focused intently on washing Zara Sinclair's bra, black lace, whisper thin. He briefly wondered how such delicate fabric could offer any support, before catching himself letting his thoughts wander. After washing, drying, and sanitizing the delicates, Ethan Young had just taken them out when he heard a soft murmur from the bedroom. It wasn't loud, but his attention was already focused on the bedroom. Ethan Young immediately put down the clothes he was holding and opened the door. He saw Zara Sinclair wriggling under the duvet like a caterpillar in its cocoon, stretching her slender, pale arms out from the covers. Her feet peeked out too. Hearing the door open, Zara Sinclair froze mid-stretch. She quickly pulled her arms back under the duvet, burrowing her head underneath as well. Silence fell, broken only by the sound of approaching footsteps that stopped right beside the bed. Zara Sinclair cautiously peeked her head out from under the covers to see Ethan Young standing there, watching her quietly. Hungry? Ethan asked. Zara Sinclair nodded, but when she spoke, her voice was incredibly hoarse. Not hungry, she rasped. In a way, she felt quite satisfied already. Ethan asked again, Are you sir anywhere? I bought that soothing balm, wanted to put some on. I don't think I need it, but if you're the one putting it on, then maybe I do. All right, get up and have some breakfast first. I'll help you with the balm afterward. Zara Sinclair tried to push herself up, but a sudden ache flared in her lower back, making her sink back onto the mattress. She hadn't realized. That'd be so exhausting. She hadn't felt it earlier, but now a dull soreness spread through her whole body. Suddenly, she didn't feel like getting up at all. She burrowed back into the duvet. "Call me big sister just once, and I'll get up," she teased. Ethan refused. Instead, he simply scooped her, duvet and all, right out of the bed. The white shirt she'd slept in, likely his, was rumpled, a few buttons undone, revealing faint red marks on the skin beneath. Ethan carried her into the bathroom, ran warm water in the sink, put toothpaste on a brush, and gently held her chin to brush her teeth. Just as she tried to protest, he started washing her face. "Okay, enough. That's fine. I can do it myself," Zara Sinclair sputtered, pulling back slightly. If she didn't stop him, he'd probably try to dress her next. Zara Sinclair had brought her own skincare products. Since there was no vanity table, they were crowded onto the bathroom counter, squeezing Ethan Young's razor off to the side. Zara Sinclair casually twisted her hair up into a messy bun and started dabbing various creams and lotions onto her face. Ethan watched her for a moment before stepping out and returning with her clothes. "Need help getting dressed?" Zara Sinclair teased. "Are we talking about just getting dressed?" The greatest difference between humans and animals lies in self-control, the ability to restrain desire. Though stirred by the woman he loved, Ethan wasn't someone solely consumed by physical urges. Zara Sinclair glanced up, meeting Ethan Young's eyes in the mirror. Thinking back to how he'd lost himself in her the night before filled her with a deep sense of satisfaction. It was just a shame she hadn't managed to get Ethan Young to call her big sister. Men's competitive streaks were so odd. It was just a name, wasn't it? He refused every time she asked. Last night had been the perfect chance. He would have done anything she asked. But in the heat of the moment, she'd forgotten to demand it. And now, no amount of coaxing could get him to utter the words big sister. Oh well, she thought, asterisk, there's always next time. Asterisk. Zara Sinclair didn't bother changing out of the shirt right away. The apartment was warm with the heat on, so she wouldn't be cold, but Ethan still draped one of his cardigans over her shoulders. As they left the bedroom, the rich aroma of chicken soup filled the air. Ethan had bought a fresh, free-range chicken earlier and simmered it in a clay pot. The broth smelled incredibly savory. It was too late for a proper breakfast, but too early for lunch. Zara had claimed to be hungry, but after 2 bowls of the rich soup and a little chicken, she felt full. She sat quietly beside him, watching Ethan eat the breakfast he'd bought. It was the weekend, so Zara Sinclair didn't have work. As for Ethan, his movie had just finished shooting and was now in post-production. The producers were handling the editing, and the director had connections for distribution. Soon, Ethan would need to join the promotional tour, which meant traveling and, inevitably, time apart. So, he planned to spend as much time as possible with Zara while he had this break. Zara Sinclair said, "Let's go visit Grandma Wood and Emily Young at Seabreeze General Hospital today." Ethan had already been thinking about visiting the hospital, but hadn't suggested it, worried Zara might be too tired after last night. Now that she'd brought it up, he didn't agree right away. "Are you sure you feel up to it?" he asked, concerned. "My legs are a little sore, but I'll be fine," Zara replied. "And if I really can't walk, you could just carry me, right?" As she spoke, Zara suddenly lifted her leg, elegantly resting her bare foot on Ethan Young's thigh. The long, smooth line of her leg, disappearing under the hem of the shirt she wore, was suddenly right before his eyes. Zara playfully flexed her toes against his leg a couple of times. Seeing a faint blush creep up his ears, she smiled and started to lower her foot, only for Ethan to suddenly grasp her ankle firmly. Zara froze, surprised. She tried to pull her foot away, but he held fast. "What do you think you're doing?" she asked. "What do you think you're doing?" Ethan countered. He bent down, picked up her slipper from the floor, and slid it on her foot. "Zara Sinclair, don't tease me," he said, his voice slightly strained. "I'm not very resistant right now." All right. No more teasing," she conceded, though her eyes danced. She promised not to tease, but after they finished eating and she went to change, she called out from the bedroom, "Ethan Young, my hands are sore, I can't get this clasp." She was changing into a red lingerie set today. Ethan entered, kept his eyes lowered, and patiently fastened the delicate clasp for her. Zara couldn't help but watch him. His expression was calm, his hands steady. He really has incredible self-control, she mused, impressed that he didn't take the opportunity to let his hands linger. Perhaps anticipating the need, one of the outfits Zara had packed was a turtleneck sweater, perfect for concealing any lingering marks from the night before. Once they were both ready, they headed out. Zara glanced down the hallway. Not only had security dealt with Serena Sinclair last night, but they had also thoroughly cleaned the corridor. Ethan held Zara's hand, pulling her small suitcase with his other hand. Downstairs, They ran into the security guard. The guard knew Ethan well and greeted him proactively. Mr. Young, don't worry. I've logged the incident regarding that woman last night and alerted the team. She won't be allowed back in. If she somehow slips past us, just give us a call immediately. The guard was exceptionally helpful, no doubt influenced by the generous gifts Ethan always gave the building staff during the Christmas season. Ethan understood the importance of maintaining good relationships. Sorry to trouble you, Ethan Young replied. No trouble at all. It's just part of the job. The security guard smiled good-naturedly. Although he had many questions, he tactfully didn't ask. He couldn't help but think of the woman from last night, wondering to himself that Ethan Young and she didn't seem like strangers. After all, it wasn't the first time that woman had come here. Serena Sinclair had passed out as soon as she got in the car last night. Seeing something was wrong, the driver immediately took her to Seabreeze General Hospital. The examination revealed external injuries as well as stomach bleeding. There was a bruise on her abdomen. The impact there had caused internal organ damage. How could she drink so much when her body was clearly unwell? Wasn't she risking her life? If they had arrived at Seabreeze General Hospital any later, it wouldn't have been just a simple hospital stay. In her unconscious state, Serena Sinclair slept fitfully. Her brow was furrowed, and sounds escaped her slightly parted lips. Ethan Young, you're not allowed to touch Zara Sinclair. Don't believe her. I love you. Ethan Young, I'm begging you. Don't sleep with Zara Sinclair. Her tone shifted from demanding to aggrieved, until finally she started crying, eventually crying herself awake. Serena Sinclair stared at the white ceiling, her mind a scattered mess, unable to gather her thoughts. Her heart felt torn apart, a pain sharper than any she had ever known. Slowly, fragments of memory surfaced, just a wall away, warmth and intimacy inside the room. While outside, she screamed herself hoarse. Like she'd gone mad, she tried frantically to smash down the door to stop them. But the door was like an immovable mountain. No matter how hard she hit it, even battering her hands red, it was useless. Intense sounds continued from within, echoing incessantly in her ears. She covered her ears, clutching her head. Though she hadn't been physically injured then, her whole body ached terribly. For the first time, she truly understood the meaning of heartbreak. She was jealous of Zara Sinclair. She had never been willing to admit her jealousy, because admitting it meant admitting she wasn't as good. Why did so many people like Zara Sinclair? Arthur Sinclair's grandmother liked her, Lucas Taylor liked her, even Ethan Young liked her. Anything Zara Sinclair liked, whether animal or person, Serena chose to discard, like the cat she'd thrown downstairs. She could kill the cat, disown Arthur Sinclair's grandmother, and break off the engagement with Lucas Taylor, but she couldn't live without Ethan Young. Ethan Young's appearance in her life was like a seed casually sown in her heart. As time passed, it grew branches and leaves, becoming an unshakable, towering tree. One person plants the tree, another rests in its shade. Zara Sinclair was the latter. Serena had spent 5 years paving the way for Zara, letting her reap such a huge benefit for nothing. In an instant, Serena lost control, breaking down as jealousy and hatred consumed her. She would make Zara Sinclair lose everything. Make her lose the performance-based contract, lose her inheritance rights. Then, Zara Sinclair wouldn't have the means to keep Ethan Young. Having figured this out, Serena pushed herself up. Her stomach pulsed with sharp pain. She hadn't felt it much while lying down, but sitting up felt like being stabbed. Serena swung her legs off the bed, intending to find her iPhone, but before her feet even touched the floor, she heard movement outside. Turning towards the door, she saw Lucas Taylor walk in. Serena flared up instantly, furious. What are you doing here? I don't want to see you. The thought of Lucas using Zara's picture to satisfy himself disgusted her. She couldn't even bear to look at him. Lucas walked forward without a word and stood beside her bed, looking down at her imperiously, his eyes cold. While you were unconscious, you kept muttering the name, Ethan Young. Who is he to you? Closer now. Serena caught the smell of smoke on him. She turned her face away. Who he is to me is none of your damn business. We're already breaking off the engagement. To me, you're just an ex who's dead to me. Lucas laughed dryly. Of course, we're breaking off the engagement, but we can't just do it without clearing things up. It wasn't right for me to like your sister, and I admit my affection shifted, but I just had an uncontrollable crush on her. I didn't affect anyone. But you? What about me? Serena retorted. An emotional affair is still cheating. Doesn't matter how you cheat. I'll throw that right back at you. Lucas's smile vanished, his tone sharp. The moment I went abroad, you couldn't wait to find another man, and now you dare to turn the tables and blame me? Serena Sinclair, You're really vile. You're so good at shifting blame. Why don't you become a chef? Seeing Serena's pupils contract slightly, Lucas's expression turned somewhat savage. Although he didn't like Serena anymore, he still considered her his woman. After all, they weren't officially broken up yet, and she dared to get involved with another man. It was a direct challenge to his male pride. Human nature's flaws include performativeness, rapacity, and habitual lying. His possessiveness toward Serena had nothing to do with liking her. It was simply that her cheating made him lose face. Asterisk, I don't have to love you, but you have to have me in your heart. We can break up peacefully, but I hope that even after we part, you'll remember my good points. Even if you get married, you should still pine for me. What's mine is mine. What's yours is also mine. Even you are mine. Asterisk, therefore, realizing Serena had wronged him first made Lucas so angry he could barely breathe. The truth always comes out. Serena had expected this day would come. If not today, then eventually. Still, she was curious how Lucas knew. He couldn't have guessed just because she muttered Ethan Young's name a few times. Serena asked calmly, "How did you find out?" Lucas sneered, "You'll have to ask your good friend Fiona Fitzgerald about that." After Serena was admitted to Seabreeze General Hospital last night, the driver had immediately called Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair and explained what happened. Serena was hospitalized for stomach bleeding caused by drinking. Why was she drinking? That traced back to her leaving the Taylor family home. The incident had started at the Taylors. Serena had looked terrible when she came out. Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair anxiously called Mrs. Taylor, wanting to know exactly what had happened. Mrs. Taylor then told Lucas, asking him to go to Seabreeze General Hospital to visit Serena. They hadn't thought much of it, figuring it was normal for couples to argue. They had argued before. When Lucas heard Serena was hospitalized, he actually felt quite guilty, assuming she was so deeply in love with him that she couldn't handle his change of heart and drank herself into the emergency room. Even if they couldn't be husband and wife after years together, they could still be friends. Once he married Zara Sinclair, he'd treat Serena like a real sister, even closer than Alice Taylor. Who would have thought, after arriving at Seabreeze General Hospital and watching over Serena all night, he would hear her calling another man's name? Ethan Young. He was extremely sensitive to that name because he had been investigating the man for days. Although the investigation hadn't turned up much, Ethan Young remained a thorn in his side. Hearing Serena call Ethan Young's name set off alarm bells in Lucas's head. After thinking it through, he zeroed in on Fiona Fitzgerald and Sophia Sullivan. They were Serena's best friends. He was sure he could get something out of them. Sophia Sullivan didn't talk, but Fiona Fitzgerald did. From Fiona, he learned that shortly after he went abroad, Serena had found another man. She had kept Ethan Young on a 5-year contract and was still entangled with him now. The moment Serena Sinclair cried out Ethan Young's name, Lucas Taylor realized the detectives he'd hired might have messed up, so he decisively went after Serena Sinclair's closest friend. He called Fiona Fitzgerald, and she spilled everything. Friendship proved fragile. Their supposed closeness was purely transactional. Lucas Taylor sent Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair away, leaving him alone to wait for Serena Sinclair to wake up. Hearing Serena Sinclair deliriously calling Ethan Young's name over and over, he genuinely wanted to strangle her. Meeting Lucas Taylor's furious gaze, Serena Sinclair paused, then scoffed dismissively. "Lucas Taylor, you ditched me to chase Zara Sinclair abroad, and now you expect me to stay faithful to you? Were you some kind of chauvinist pig? How is that the same? I liked Zara Sinclair, yes, but I never lived with her. Was it that you didn't want to live with her? Or was it that she couldn't stand you?" Serena Sinclair knew exactly how to twist the knife. You chased Zara Sinclair for 5 years, and she wouldn't even give you the time of day. So what if you bought a $15 million necklace? Did she accept it? Let me tell you the truth. Zara Sinclair's already with someone else, someone 100, 1,000, 10,000 times better than you. As soon as she finished speaking, Lucas Taylor's expression changed. Zara Sinclair with someone else? How is that possible? She didn't even have any close male friends. Where'd she find a man? Who is it? Serena Sinclair taunted. Why don't you find out yourself? Aren't you so good at digging things up? Lucas Taylor looked at Serena Sinclair's resentful expression. He could tell from her eyes she wasn't lying. Serena Sinclair, if you dare tell anyone about my business, I'll expose you for keeping a man for 5 years. Let's see who ends up more humiliated. The engagement had to be broken, but it needed to be amicable. If Serena Sinclair wanted to blame everything on him, then she couldn't fault him for playing dirty. Comparing the two, Serena Sinclair's actions were far worse, because they caused significant trouble and distress to those around her. Keeping a man on a 5-year contract, living together, who would believe nothing happened? Serena Sinclair hadn't just cheated physically, her heart had strayed too. He felt like the biggest cuckold in the world right now, practically glowing green with shame. Serena Sinclair naturally disagreed. As far as she was concerned, she'd done nothing wrong. Yes, she lived with Ethan Young for those 5 years, but initially he was just a substitute for Lucas Taylor. Fundamentally, Lucas was still the one she loved. If Lucas Taylor could pine over Zara Sinclair's photo, why couldn't she find a substitute to pine over? If people knew, they'd probably think she was deeply devoted. Technically, she hadn't cheated. Chronologically, if Lucas Taylor hadn't changed his mind first and chased Zara Sinclair abroad, would she ever have turned to Ethan Young? He started it, so he was the one to blame. How dare Lucas Taylor threaten her? Serena Sinclair's anger flared. She grabbed the pillow behind her and threw it at Lucas Taylor. The pillow hitting him didn't hurt. Furious, Serena Sinclair then snatched the vase from the nightstand and hurled it at him. With a loud crash, the vase shattered on the floor, water spilling everywhere. If Lucas Taylor hadn't dodged quickly, it would have cracked open his head. Serena continued throwing things as she yelled, "What right do you have to threaten me? 5 years ago, if you just admitted you didn't like me, I would have respected you for being honest. But no, you didn't tell the truth, pretending to be devoted, acting like a good guy in front of me. You're pathetic." If she and Lucas Taylor had broken up back then, and she met Ethan Young afterward, would things have turned out differently? She wouldn't have used him as a substitute, wouldn't have humiliated him. They could have met under normal circumstances, without deception or threats. They could have become friends first. She helps him, he helps her, starting as friends, then growing to admire him, falling in love naturally. This was all Lucas Taylor's fault. Serena Sinclair's eyes were red. "My biggest regret in life is ever knowing you, getting engaged to trash like you. You didn't just waste my time, you ruined my life." Lucas Taylor shot back. "Ruined your life? Bullshit. You brought this on yourself. Always wanting more than you have. Some people try to hide their hypocrisy, but you practically scream it from the rooftops that you're a bitch." Serena Sinclair had never imagined such ugly words could come from Lucas Taylor's mouth. Words could express love, but they could also wound. The childhood sweethearts were now enemies, each wishing the other would just die. Serena Sinclair started smashing things wildly, like a madwoman. Lucas Taylor backed away step by step until he was against the wall, muttering coldly, "Crazy bitch." He was glad he'd realized Serena Sinclair's true nature in time, that he hadn't married her and made an irreversible mistake. "Good thing I went abroad 5 years ago. If I'd married a woman like you, I would have gone insane. Get out, get out, get out. Don't ever show your face in front of me again." The violent movements pulled at the wound on her stomach. Serena Sinclair's lips trembled with pain, her face instantly paling. She stopped, clutching her stomach, feeling a dampness in her palm. She looked down, it was bleeding. There was a cut on her stomach. The phrase "heart twisted like a knife" wasn't just a metaphor. She'd literally been cut. Lucas Taylor gave a slight smirk, brushed imaginary dust off his clothes, and turned to leave. Not long after he left, someone else arrived. It was Zachary Carter. Having heard Serena Sinclair was hospitalized as her executive assistant, he felt he should visit her and also mention something. But when he arrived, he saw the room was a complete mess, debris scattered everywhere. He didn't even know where to step. Zachary Carter peeked in. "Ms. Sinclair, are you all right?" Serena Sinclair lifted her pale face. Seeing it was Zachary Carter, she immediately started assigning tasks. Notify all the marketing accounts and social media influencers under the Sinclair group. Have them drop whatever they're working on. The priority now is Zara Sinclair. I want her Sinclair Foods bankrupted. Make sure she's in no position to compete with me. Serena Sinclair rattled off instructions breathlessly, giving Zachary Carter no chance to interrupt. "Which Seabreeze General Hospital is Ethan Young's sister, Emily Young, in? Do you have any news yet?" He hasn't left Maplewood, so his sister must still be here too. Zachary Carter didn't answer her questions or accept the assignments. He simply stated flatly, "Ms. Sinclair, I'm resigning." He wanted to quit this job for a long time. Ever since Ethan Young left, Serena Sinclair had neglected her actual duties and was constantly having meltdowns. How long had it been since she even went to Sinclair Group headquarters? She dumped everything on him, tasks that were his responsibility and tasks that weren't. She treated him like he wasn't even human. "I've already submitted my resignation letter. I just came today to let you know in person." Facing yet another betrayal, Serena Sinclair assumed the worst intentions from everyone around her. Her gaze turned hostile. "Zachary Carter, did you know all along that Ethan Young was married?" "Zachary, did you know Ethan Young was married?" "Huh, he's married." Zachary Carter looked stunned. "I had no idea." Serena Sinclair thought he seemed genuine, but her anger had reached a boiling point. She snapped, "Get out." "But my resignation." "I said get out." Suddenly, everyone seemed to be keeping their distance. Someone in her position couldn't afford emotional outbursts. Zachary didn't hesitate. He turned and left. Resignations at Sinclair Group headquarters required a month's notice. He timed it perfectly, finishing the month to collect his bonus before leaving. After he left, Serena immediately rang for the nurse. Her abdomen throbbed. The surgery would undoubtedly leave a scar she'd have to fix cosmetically later. The thought that Lucas Taylor was responsible made her want to tear him apart. Her face darkened. "Find out how your precious Zara seduced him. He'll experience the same pain I suffered last night. The same agonizing pain." Lucas, just downstairs, ran into Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair returning from dinner. "Lucas, what are you doing down here?" they asked. "Who's looking after Serena while you're gone?" "She's awake. The nurse is with her." Lucas wanted to discuss breaking off the engagement, but it wasn't his place to make that decision. It was best left to their parents. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to visit Grandma Wood. I haven't seen her in a while." Zara was closest to her grandmother. She'd know if Zara was dating and who the man was. Hearing this, Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair sneered. "Fine, go ahead." Lucas nodded and left. "Grandma, Ethan and I came to see you." Grandma Wood now lived at Pinecrest Rehabilitation Center. A nutritionist managed her diet, so Ethan hadn't brought food, only flowers. She truly lacked nothing, having plenty to eat and do. She spent most of her time reading and watching TV. Ethan had been busy filming and hadn't visited in a while. Seeing him, she immediately sat up. "You've lost so much weight. You looked so good before." She held his hand. "I had to slim down for a role," Ethan explained. Grandma Wood clapped. Sacrificing for art. I understand." Then, she added, "Now that filming is over, rest and get your strength back. Don't take your youth for granted and ruin your health." "Yes, I know." He agreed with whatever she said. After advising Ethan, she told Zara to take care of him. Grandma would gaze at the young couple, increasingly pleased, but noticed a shift in the atmosphere. Zara was clingier to Ethan, her feminine charm impossible to hide. Something was up. Grandma would scan Zara from head to toe, her eyes finally landing on her earlobes. A knowing smile spread across her face. "Zara, help me to the restroom, dear." Though Zara was addressed, Ethan was quicker to react, reaching out to help Grandma Wood up. She gently pushed his hand away. "Sit down. Zara can accompany me." Ethan withdrew his hand. Zara helped her grandmother into the restroom. As the door closed, Grandma Wood perked up, whispering, "Zara, did you too?" "You know." Zara, momentarily stunned, didn't pretend modesty. "Grandma, how did you know?" "A woman just knows." Grandma Wood patted Zara's shoulder, eager for details. "Ethan's so thin. Did he have the energy?" Zara simply said, "Jackhammer." "I wouldn't have guessed." The old woman gave a thumbs up, then offered some discreet advice. "If he lacks stamina, take charge. If he doesn't initiate, you do. Keep the reins in your hands." "But did he use protection?" Grandma Wood's bluntness might have shocked others, but Zara's ears burned. She bit her lip. "Yes, I don't want children yet, Grandma. Will you be angry?" "Angry about what?" "About not having children." Zara nodded hesitantly. "Having children is your decision. Why would I be angry? Having children without being ready is irresponsible. As long as you know what you're doing, that's all that matters. My only request is that you take care of yourself." Warmth filled Zara's heart. She hugged her grandmother, resting her head on her shoulder. Grandma Would stroke her hair. "You're all grown up and still such a cuddlebug. Cuddle with Ethan from now on. He'll like that." The old woman's seriousness lasted mere seconds. "Does Ethan have muscles?" "He lost weight recently, so they're not as big as before." "Does he have an 8-pack?" "Yes. You could play a peep on his abs." "Grandma, what do you watch when you're alone?" Zara realized upon returning home just how prudish she was compared to her 80-year-old grandmother. Grandma Wood looked at her with affection, tapping her forehead. "I'm just more experienced. After all, your grandma has been around the block. I knew from the moment I met Ethan that he was a good catch, inside and out. Especially that waist. Looks strong." Zara nodded in agreement. Indeed, strong, perhaps too strong. Her thighs still ached, and she felt a little unsteady when she walked. "Next time, try shirbari." "What's shirbari?" "I'll teach you." Grandma Would whisper a description and the tying method. Zara blushed, her heart racing as she imagined the scene. "I'll try it next time. Once his muscles are back, tie him up like that. The visual effect will be amazing." Zara looked up, her eyes glistening with innocent curiosity. "Isn't it supposed to be on me?" Grandma Wood paused. "Whatever makes you happy. The result is the same." The two continued their hushed conversation, assuming their voices were low, but Ethan overheard most of it. Some things, the more you try not to hear, the more they burrow into your ears like insects crawling through your eardrums and into your brain, then spreading through your bloodstream to lodge in your heart, making it itch incessantly. Ethan paced the room to distract himself. Footsteps approached. He expected a nurse, but it was Lucas Taylor. Their eyes met. Lucas's face hardened as he glared at Ethan. "What are you doing here?" Lucas Taylor's breathing hitched. His tongue felt stiff and numb. He heard his own voice asking, "What are you doing here?" It seemed like Ethan Young was connected to everyone around Lucas. His ex-fiancée, Serena Sinclair, had supposedly supported Ethan under a 5-year contract, and her feelings for Lucas had waned. His own sister, Alice Taylor, whom he cared about, had ignored his warnings and even threatened him just for a chance to act alongside Ethan Young. And now, Ethan Young was getting close to Zara Sinclair. When he'd seen Zara Sinclair get into Ethan's car previously, he'd had a bad feeling. He hired a detective, but after days of investigating, they found nothing, which infuriated him so much he smashed his iPhone. He tried to see Zara Sinclair directly, but she avoided him, refusing even to schedule an appointment. He waited downstairs outside her building for ages, only to see her car drive away. Then he thought he could use his older sister Jessica Taylor's business dealings as an excuse to get back in contact with Zara. He figured that even if Zara wouldn't give him the time of day, she'd likely respect his sister. After all, Zara had done business with Jessica when she was overseas. But it turned out Zara had ended her collaboration with Jessica and wasn't planning to renew. He'd moved heaven and earth, but couldn't even get near Zara Sinclair. And Ethan Young? Not only had he driven Zara home, but now he'd shown up here. Lucas Taylor had labeled Ethan Young a scheming gold digger, full of malicious intent, undoubtedly trying to use the old woman to get closer to Zara Sinclair. Ethan Young had sensed Lucas Taylor's deep-seated hostility towards him early on. There's rarely hostility and hatred without reason in this world, unless someone has psychological issues. This was their second direct confrontation. Facing Lucas Taylor's animosity, Ethan Young didn't want to argue with him here. "Grandma would needs to rest," Ethan said calmly. "If you have something to say, let's take it outside." Ethan Young thought his request was reasonable. A hospital was a place that required quiet, so as not to disturb the patient's well-being. But that single sentence seemed to hit a nerve, and Lucas Taylor exploded. "If anyone's leaving, it's you. What right do you have to be here? I knew you were trouble the first time I saw you. First, you went after my sister. Now you're cozying up to Grandma Wood. You really don't discriminate, do you? Men, women, old, young. You'll take anything, leech off anyone." He yelled, advancing on Ethan Young, raising his fist as if to strike him. "I've never met such a shameless gold digger." Seeing Lucas raise his fist, Ethan reacted instinctively, kicking him straight out of the room. Ethan Young had been filming several fight scenes recently, practicing daily, and the reflex was now ingrained. Ethan Young stood in the doorway, looking at Lucas Taylor's grimacing face, and smirked. Better a gold digger than a coward. Just as Ethan was about to close the door, the bathroom door opened. Grandma Wood emerged, hearing the commotion. "What's going on?" Ethan turned to reassure her. "Just a troublemaker. I've already sent him away." "I'm not a troublemaker," Lucas protested from the hallway. "Grandma Wood, don't let him fool you. Ethan Young is a conniving liar." Shouting like this in a hospital was completely inappropriate, but Lucas Taylor seemed oblivious, yelling like a street vendor. Grandma Wood asked, puzzled, "Who is that?" Lucas scrambled up from the floor. "Grandma Wood, it's me, Lucas Taylor. I came to see you. I even brought you a birthday cake." He held up the bag, revealing the birthday cake inside, now completely smashed. Lucas pointed accusingly. "It's all Ethan Young's fault. He kicked me and ruined the birthday cake." Realizing it was the youngest son of the Taylor family, Grandma Wood said politely, "My health isn't great. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar. I can't eat birthday cake anyway. Thank you for the thought, but you should go. Ethan Young is here to keep me company, and that's enough." "That won't do." Lucas was determined to expose Ethan Young's true colors right here, right now, in front of the old woman. "Grandma Wood, don't be fooled. This guy is just a freeloader. He's only getting close to you to scam you out of your retirement money." Ethan Young's lips pressed into a thin line, his eyes darkening dangerously. He said nothing, but his hands twitched, ready to react. Ethan didn't care what Lucas said about him. He'd heard far worse over the years. But he worried the agitation would affect Grandma Wood's health. But he needn't have worried. The old woman was formidable. Facing Lucas Taylor's accusations, she first patted Ethan Young's tense shoulder reassuringly, then turned her gaze to Lucas in the hallway. "Hey, young man," she began, her voice sharp. "You have a nasty mouth on you." She stood protectively in front of Ethan Young, like a mother hen defending her chick, bristling with indignation. What do you mean, freeloader? That's called leveraging resources effectively. Do you even understand that, you hick? You call him a freeloader, but aren't you just living off your parents? Ethan Young here can cook, he can act. What can you do? Besides being born lucky, a person needs a little self-awareness. Try improving yourself sometime. Otherwise, the only accomplishment you'll ever have to brag about is winning the race back when you were just sperm. If the setting weren't so inappropriate, Ethan Young would have applauded. He finally understood where Zara Sinclair got her sharp tongue. She inherited it directly from her grandmother. Lucas Taylor stood there, speechless, his face flushing red then pale. Asterisk clap, clap, clap. Asterisk applause sounded from behind him. Ethan thought he was hearing things, but when he turned, Zara Sinclair was there, pressing close and wrapping her arms intimately around his waist, resting her head on his shoulder. Grandma, that was brilliant. I applaud you. Grandma would give a satisfied oomph, elegantly smoothing her silver hair back from her forehead. When Lucas Taylor saw Zara Sinclair emerge from the room, his heart gave an involuntary leap, his gaze locking onto her. He hadn't seen her in days, and she seemed even more beautiful, somehow different than before. If the Zara Sinclair of the past was a white swan, coolly aloof and keeping everyone at a distance, then the woman before him now was like a beautiful Persian cat, gentle, languid, affectionate, and somehow even more captivating. But seeing her embrace Ethan Young so willingly from behind, Lucas felt the heart that had just leaped for her suddenly freeze, as if it might shatter. He stammered in disbelief. You too? How could you? Zara with him? He was so distraught he could barely form a sentence. His vision swam, and he nearly stumbled. The ruined birthday cake slipped from his grasp and fell to the floor, where he inadvertently stepped on it. He stared down at his dirted shoe and the crushed strawberry cake. Everything was a complete disaster. He should have known. He should have guessed it back when he got that license plate number. Lucas Taylor clenched his jaw, his eyes fixed on Zara Sinclair with bitter resentment. How dare she be with someone like Ethan? Had she no shame? Embracing him like that in public. Zara Sinclair, he demanded, when did you two get together? That's a rather crude way to put it. Please use more appropriate language, Zara replied coolly, narrowing her eyes, a warning glint in them. But if you're asking when I fell in love with Ethan Young, she continued, that would be October 20th. It was a Friday at 3:56 p.m. She remembered it very clearly. October 20th was a day Zara Sinclair would never forget. It was etched deep in Lucas Taylor's memory, too, because that was the day of his birthday gala. He'd worked up the nerve to call Zara Sinclair, hoping she'd come, but she refused. She wouldn't even offer him a simple, happy birthday. Back then, he'd been disappointed, but not resentful. After all, Zara Sinclair was indifferent to everyone. He could accept that, but now he knew why she hadn't come. She had been with Ethan Young that day, and when he'd called her, she'd been flirting with another man. Lucas Taylor couldn't accept the reality staring him in the face. He closed his eyes, stumbling back a few steps. When he opened them again, his gaze fixed on Zara Sinclair, brimming with fierce hatred, like a man who'd just caught his wife cheating. In that instant, Lucas Taylor, utterly incensed, threw caution to the wind. How could you be with someone like him? What does he have that I don't? Why didn't you choose me? 5 years ago, I went abroad for you. Chose a school I hated. I used to sneak away just to see you. I didn't even care if I failed my classes because of it. To me, school, career, none of it mattered compared to you. What holiday did I ever miss? I texted you happy birthday right at midnight. I'd spend every cent of my allowance on gifts for you. You like your space, so I watched you from a distance, never bothering you. To find out more about you, I asked everyone, trying to learn what you liked. Do you have any idea how thrilled I was when I found out my sister did business with you? It finally gave me a reason to get closer. After everything I've done, don't tell me you didn't know I liked you. In Lucas Taylor's mind, after all he'd done, Zara Sinclair had to know how he felt. Her quiet acceptance of his actions, her lack of strong refusal, must have meant she felt something for him too. Simply put, Zara Sinclair had changed after coming back to the country, and Ethan Young was the one to blame. He'd stolen his sister, stolen his fiancée, and now even the woman he idealized was gone. Old grudges mixed with new hatred, intensifying Lucas Taylor's loathing for Ethan Young. Zara Sinclair leaned against Ethan Young, coolly refuting Lucas Taylor's accusations one by one. I couldn't care less which country you went to or what school you attended. And failing your classes to see me? That doesn't impress me one bit. Everything you sent to my work account was just junk to me. And no, I had no idea you liked me. If I had, I would have had my assistant block and delete you immediately. Lucas Taylor had no clue the friend account he added while abroad was actually her professional one. It was managed by an assistant who didn't even bother reading the garbage he sent. It was all deleted monthly. After she returned, he somehow got her local cell number. She wasn't completely unaware of Lucas Taylor, but she only knew him as Jessica Taylor's younger brother. She was on decent terms with Jessica Taylor, so she figured she'd tolerate him as Jessica's brother until Serena Sinclair's birthday party, when she deleted his contact right in front of him. And as for you asking around about me, legally, I could have you arrested and charged with stalking and invasion of privacy. With every rebuttal from Zara Sinclair, the look on his face grew uglier. Lucas Taylor felt his cheeks burn, as if he'd been slapped repeatedly in public. You never offered anything I actually wanted, so what gives you the right to be so self-important? Zara Sinclair's final question, after everything else, was the killing blow for Lucas Taylor. He turned pale, so devastated the light seemed to drain from his eyes. All he could do was grit his teeth and try to tear Ethan Young down to make himself look better. Ethan Young doesn't deserve you at all. Lucas Taylor spat. If it were me, I'd always be there for you. I wouldn't be an actor. Filming scenes with other women is disrespectful to you. Actors like him always have scandals with different women, drumming up fake relationships for publicity. Can you really accept that? Like how he just filmed with my sister, causing all sorts of trouble. And it's only been a few days, but Alice Taylor is already head over heels for him. It's not like I just found out today that he's an actor. That's his job. Honestly, only someone with a dirty mind sees dirt everywhere. Zara Sinclair's patience wore thin. Her eyes turned icy as she started insulting him directly. You're incredibly dense, completely brainless. And you have the nerve to ask why I didn't choose you? I'm not blind. Why would I pass up someone good for a piece of trash like you, who isn't half the man he is? Lucas Taylor, practically choking on Zara Sinclair's words, lost all reason and blurted out. Oh yeah? Did you know he's just an actor who slept his way to the top? He was kept. And the one keeping him? Your own sister, Serena Sinclair. You say I can't compare to him? He was nothing more than my sister's boy toy. So he played that demeaning role for 5 years. Zara Sinclair turned to Ethan Young, kissing him gently on the cheek. Those 5 years must have been so hard on you. Ethan Young was still reeling from Lucas's bombshells when Zara Sinclair's kiss snapped him out of it. He mumbled instinctively, it wasn't that bad. Zara Sinclair leaned close to his ear, whispering, this is when you're supposed to act a little wronged, so I can shower you with affection. Their intimate display, right there in the open, made Lucas Taylor see red. Zara Sinclair seemed utterly bewitched. Since reasoning with her was impossible, Lucas turned his attention elsewhere. He turned to Grandma Wood. Older people tend to be more traditional, he thought. They value family harmony. But now, because of Ethan Young, the sisters were at odds. He would surely cause more chaos between them. Would the old woman really want to see that happen? Grandma Wood, you probably don't know this, but Ethan Young was kept by Serena Sinclair for 5 years. Now he's cozying up to Zara Sinclair. It's obvious he's up to no good and has ulterior motives. It felt like a guillotine hanging over Ethan Young's head. He tensed up again. He glanced nervously at Grandma Wood, his heart pounding as if it might stop. Suddenly, he felt a gentle stroking on the back of his hand. Ethan Young looked down to see Zara Sinclair lightly tracing lines on his skin. His clenched fist slowly relaxed. Her hand slipped into his palm like a nimble fish, her fingers intertwining with his. Zara Sinclair wore a calm, gentle smile, silently telling him, Asterisk, don't worry. I'm here. I'll handle this. Asterisk, instantly, the dark cloud hanging over him vanished. Grandma would remain standing protectively in front of Ethan Young, not looking back at him. Her frail frame seemed infused with immense strength as she faced Lucas Taylor's malicious provocations. Far from being angered, she simply smiled and asked, Are you saying Serena Sinclair also likes Ethan? Lucas Taylor stressed. She kept him. Grandma Wood, however, saw things differently, offering a surprising perspective. Do you think it's easy being a kept man? That takes skill too. Besides, if Serena Sinclair spent money on Ethan, she must have seen something special in him. It just proves how wonderful he is. I'm lucky I recognized what an excellent young man he is. I almost missed out on such a fine grandson-in-law. Only valuable things are worth fighting over. Look, nobody fights over crap in a toilet, do they? Even shit in a toilet gets noticed. If it doesn't flush down, someone's bound to complain because it's disgusting. Lucas Taylor, stung by the look in Grandma Wood's eyes, retorted loudly. Serena Sinclair isn't keeping him because he's anything special. It's only because he looks like me. Grandma Wood smiled, speaking slowly and deliberately. Young man, if you don't own a mirror, surely you still piss, don't you? Go take a leak and have a good look at yourself in a reflection. Tell me exactly what part of you looks like him. But he's my substitute. My substitute. Lucas Taylor repeated weakly. If he's a substitute, that must mean they look alike. Zara Sinclair fell in love with Ethan Young. So doesn't that mean she actually likes him, Lucas? Zara must have had feelings for him all along. She just didn't realize it. And then she projected those feelings onto Ethan Young. This line of thinking made sense to Lucas, because he never believed Zara Sinclair could fall for anyone so quickly, let alone believe she'd fall for Ethan Young at first sight. But he seemed to forget that not everyone saw Ethan Young as a stand-in. Just because Zara Sinclair might be blind to it didn't mean everyone else was. All right, whatever you say. What's the point of arguing with an idiot? Grandma Wood added dismissively. Besides, nobody would want someone like you even if you were free. Lucas Taylor felt a tightness in his chest. His blood boiled, and his thoughts grew muddy. He wanted to argue, to make her understand, but he couldn't find words. He forced himself to take a calming breath. Grandma Wood, I thought that as the eldest member of this family, you'd be able to see things clearly, to tell right from wrong. But I didn't expect you to be fooled by Ethan Young, too. A guy like him, messing with Serena Sinclair first, and then coming after Zara Sinclair. He's obviously just after your family's money. I'm trying to warn you nicely, but you defend him and put me down with every word. You really are old and confused, unable to recognize what's truly good for you. Lucas Taylor gritted his teeth. Suddenly, he understood why Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair paid the old woman so little mind. An unreasonable old hag like her, unable to distinguish right from wrong, might as well just die and get reincarnated sooner rather than later, before she could screw up the next generation. If Arthur Sinclair were still alive, he'd never stand for this. Let's be blunt. Ethan Young is just some actor, and a washed-up one at that. Zara Sinclair marrying someone like him is an embarrassment and damages the family's reputation. Grandma would seem to read Lucas Taylor's thoughts. She wasn't angry, but replied calmly, I know exactly what kind of person Ethan is better than anyone. I may be 80, but my eyes aren't blurry and my ears aren't deaf. I've known him long enough. Why would I change my mind about him based on a few words from you? He's the family I chose, my grandson-in-law, and a young man I hold in high regard. If you keep standing here spreading lies, don't blame me if I pay the Taylor family a little visit. Asterisk, it was never him who chose me. I found him. Asterisk, Ethan Young's heart trembled, the anxiety that had gripped him finally easing. He looked at Grandma Wood's back, his eyes stinging slightly, and instinctively reached for Zara Sinclair's hand. Zara Sinclair remained silent, simply giving Ethan Young's tense arm a gentle squeeze. Her eyes conveyed the message. Asterisk, see? I told you it would be fine. Asterisk, Grandma understood her granddaughter, and the granddaughter understood her grandma. The two shared a common trait. Once they formed an opinion of someone, they didn't change it easily. Rumors simply didn't faze them. Ethan Young remembered what Zara Sinclair had said when they got their marriage license. Asterisk, I will stand by you. No questions asked. Asterisk, she meant what she said. Suddenly, Ethan asked, can I hit him? As the saying goes, dignity lies only beyond the blade of a sword, and truth only within the range of cannon fire. So, when you run into someone this unreasonable, it's better to persuade them with fists than with words. Ethan didn't just lash out, though. He politely sought permission first. Grandma would glance back at Zara Sinclair. A silent understanding passed between grandmother and granddaughter. Suddenly, Grandma would clutch her head. Oh, I feel so dizzy. My chest hurts. Ethan, his nasty words. They've wounded this old woman's heart. Get him out of here, quickly. Zara Sinclair let go of Ethan's hand and moved to support her grandmother. Go ahead, she said. With a lawyer present, it's practically self-defense. Okay. Ethan Young started walking toward Lucas Taylor. Lucas Taylor's face paled. What do you think you're doing? This is Seabreeze General Hospital. The spot where Ethan had kicked him earlier still throbbed. Seabreeze General Hospital? Perfect, Ethan said, calmly unbuttoning his shirt cuffs as he strolled closer. Saves us the trouble of calling an ambulance. You'll get to the ER that much faster. Then, catching him off guard, Ethan threw a punch. Lucas Taylor threw up an arm to block, trying to retaliate, but Ethan followed with a swift kick that sent him sprawling onto the floor, right into the remains of the birthday cake. Lucas tried to scramble up, but slipped on the frosting. Ethan Young was surprisingly strong. His fists rained down like hail, giving Lucas no chance to defend himself. Lucas's head swam. He'd been waiting at the hospital since the previous night and hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch. Now, even though he wanted to fight back, he simply didn't have the strength. Ethan landed several more blows in silence, quickly leaving Lucas bruised and battered. Wincing in pain, Lucas still managed to curse. Ethan Young, you motherfucker. You spineless bastard. You dare hit me? You're dead. Did I say anything wrong? Huh? You're hitting me because I hit a nerve, didn't I? Because I was right. The words were barely out of his mouth when Ethan drove a knee into his stomach, then grabbed him by the neck and slammed him hard against the floor. Lucas let out a strangled scream, his throat raw, and curled into a ball, groaning. The force of the movement popped open a couple of buttons on Ethan's shirt. Lucas covered his head, his body trembling slightly, not from fear of Ethan Young, he told himself, but no one liked pain. If he hadn't pulled an all-nighter, if he'd actually eaten something today, he could have beaten Ethan Young senseless. Ethan was furious, but seeing Grandma Wood and Zara watching, he reined himself in slightly. He stood over Lucas Taylor, looking down with a dark expression. Now do you see how I'm better than you? Ethan had given Lucas a thorough beating. Yet apart from slightly mussed clothes, Ethan looked unaffected, his breathing steady. Lucas, however, gritted his teeth, panting heavily, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. When Lucas first learned Serena Sinclair was supposedly using Ethan Young as a substitute, he felt a smug sense of superiority, convinced he was better than Ethan in every respect. He spat out a mouthful of blood, ready to launch another insult, when his eyes landed on a distinct red mark visible on Ethan Young's chest through the gap in his shirt. Lucas instantly knew what that mark was. His mouth fell open, his expression frozen, petrified. Zara walked up to Ethan's side, intimately buttoned his shirt for him, and smoothed the fabric. Feel better now? Ethan Young shook his head. Zara understood, placing a hand on his shoulder for balance. She stood on her toes and kissed him gently on the lips. How about now? Ethan, who hadn't even been breathing hard after the fight, suddenly sounded breathless. Much better. Zara Sinclair kissed Ethan Young again. She stood on her tiptoes, initiating it, her lips moving from his to his cheek, then kissing his forehead and the bridge of his nose. As she kissed him, she gently stroked the back of his neck, like she was soothing a big cat, slowly calming his simmering anger. Lucas Taylor, standing right in front of them, was stunned. He'd never even dreamed of seeing this side of Zara Sinclair. Maybe it wasn't that she liked quiet. Maybe she just didn't like him getting close. Maybe she wasn't cold, just indifferent to everyone else. In Zara Sinclair's eyes, perhaps men were divided into two categories, Ethan Young and the rest. Jealousy consumed him. Lucas stared, mesmerized, fantasizing how wonderful it would be if you're the one Zara was kissing right now. Just thinking about it made his nose suddenly feel hot, and blood started to drip. Lucas Taylor instinctively ducked his head as blood streamed from his nose like a leaky faucet. Seeing the blood pooling on the floor, he frantically clamped a hand over his nose, but it quickly stained his hand and sleeve, leaving him looking utterly pathetic. No one paid any attention to Lucas Taylor's nosebleed. After kissing Ethan, Zara Sinclair pulled out her iPhone and called Jessica Taylor. The call connected almost immediately. Hello, Zara. What's up? Come get your brother. If you wait too long, you might end up seriously hurt. What happened? What's wrong with my brother? Jessica asked. He pissed me off, Zara replied flatly. Jessica didn't press further. Where is he? I'll send someone to bring him home right away. Zara told her the location, Seabreeze General Hospital. Zara, Jessica added, my guys will be at the hospital entrance any minute. If he's getting on your nerves, just tell security to toss him out. That was exactly what Zara had in mind. The hallway was silent now, quiet enough to hear the conversation through the iPhone. Lucas pressed harder on his nose, his eyes turning crimson, bloodshot veins spreading across them. Is this really my own sister? He thought bitterly. Not a single word of concern, just telling them to have security throw him out. Wasn't she even slightly worried they might actually hurt him? Zara Sinclair lowered her iPhone. So, are you going to get out of here on your own? Or do you want security to throw you out? By now, a small crowd of onlookers had gathered, mostly hospital staff drawn by the commotion, worried something serious might happen. A nurse standing nearby quietly asked, Does he need to be admitted? Lucas Taylor had never been so publicly humiliated in his life. But more than the embarrassment, he seethed at Zara for kissing Ethan Young right in front of him. He also noticed the bite mark visible beneath Ethan's shirt collar. It looked fresh, clearly recent. He could almost picture how passionately it must have been made. His voice was hoarse. Zara, he began, I heard you're in a high-stakes competition with Serena Sinclair right now. If you were with me, wouldn't your odds be better? The Taylor family has holdings in Sinclair Foods, Inc. Too. We could help you. He tried to sound reasonable. I'm not just trying to win you over. I'm trying to make you face reality. In our world, it's best to follow our parents' arrangements for marriage. Marrying within our class strengthens both families. I've chased you for so many years, he continued desperately. I know how capable you are, how ambitious. You won't stop here. If you marry me, the Taylor family will be your asset. I wouldn't even mind if you kept seeing Ethan Young. Lucas Taylor swallowed his bitterness, trying to regain his composure and appeal to logic. If you can't secure your position as heir, you can't control your own future. If you don't take over the family fortune, you don't control your own life. A man like Ethan Young will only drag you down. Just think about it, he pleaded. If someone maliciously leaks details about your relationship, what will all those gossip-hungry netizens say? How will the tabloids spin it? How much damage will Ethan Young end up causing you? Do you honestly believe Ethan Young truly loves you? He scoffed. He's only after your money. He thought he was making a reasonable argument, but Zara Sinclair seemed to only register the last sentence. She let out a short, sharp laugh, a smug smile playing on her lips. Having money is one of my assets. If he's attracted to my money, then he's attracted to one of my best qualities. Lucas Taylor felt himself starting to unravel. He stared at her, eyes wide with anguish. Why are you so obsessed with Ethan Young? He demanded bitterly. Whatever it is, I can be that too, he thought desperately. Zara Sinclair shot him a look dripping with cold impatience. Do I need a reason to love my own husband? Lucas Taylor's world tilted. His hands dropped numbly from his nose, letting the blood flow unchecked as he stared at her, scrutinizing every micro-expression. Husband, did she actually mean? No, surely not. Zara having a boyfriend was shocking enough. How could she possibly be married? Young people threw terms like hubby around all the time nowadays when dating. It was probably just a term of endearment. The way Lucas Taylor desperately tried to rationalize it away was laughable. To Ethan Young, however, he was simply a repulsive pest. Not dangerous, just disgusting. Seeing Ethan tense up, ready to strike, Zara Sinclair grabbed his hand. Don't dirty your hands. It's fine, Ethan retorted grimly. I'll use my foot. The words barely out of his mouth. Ethan Young brought his foot down hard on Lucas Taylor's injured knee. Lucas's face twisted in agony. Zara Sinclair is my wife, Ethan stated coldly, looking down at him. I suggest you and your fiancée, Serena Sinclair, stop interfering in our private life. He kept his foot planted on Lucas's knee, slowly grinding it down. Just then, security guard arrived. Any later, and Ethan Young might have genuinely broken Lucas Taylor's leg. Lucas Taylor presented a truly pathetic sight. His face smeared with blood, his hair matted with birthday cake, his body slumped on the floor like a spineless jellyfish. He was not only physically injured, but also psychologically crushed. He couldn't fight back, couldn't even cry properly without blood trickling into his mouth. All that was left was impotent fury. Ethan Young lifted his foot, his cold expression instantly replaced by a pleasant one. Could you gentlemen please escort this person out? He said to the security guards. The guards had received instructions originating from Grandma Wood's room. They knew exactly who she was and that they should act without question. So, two of them stepped forward, faces etched with distaste, each grabbing one of Lucas's arms and dragging him toward the elevator like cleaners removing refuse from a crime scene. Lucas Taylor remained silent, merely glaring venomously at Ethan Young's face until the elevator doors slid shut. Only then did he mutter, I won't let you get away with this. He would never forget the humiliation he'd suffered today. As soon as the guards were gone, a janitor appeared with a mop and meticulously cleaned the bloodstains and smeared birthday cake from the floor. Let's go wash your hands, Zara Sinclair said softly. She took Ethan Young's hand and led him into the nearby restroom, turned on the faucet, and squeezed soap onto his hand. I could do it myself, Ethan protested quietly. Zara didn't reply, simply holding his hand, working the slick soap into a lather. She carefully washed his palm, the back of his hand, and then each finger, one by one. Your hands are so long, she murmured, holding her own hand up next to his for comparison. Her fingers were slender too, but her hand was significantly smaller overall. Thinking about where those hands had touched her just last night made Zara's heart beat faster. You helped bathe me yesterday, she said gently. So what's wrong with me washing your hands today? Zara looked up slightly at Ethan, who kept his head lowered. The restroom light was off, and in the dimness, she couldn't quite make out his expression, but she could feel his mood was heavy. Lucas Taylor's words must have hit a nerve. Ethan couldn't possibly ignore them. Seeing the crease between Ethan Young's eyebrows, Zara suddenly leaned in and kissed the corner of his mouth. Ethan Young, were you born tied in knots? Why are you always so twisted up inside? She teased gently. Don't put yourself down. You're wonderful, truly wonderful. Even if you don't believe in yourself, you have to trust my judgment and Grandma Wood's. If you worry too much about what other people think, she continued softly, you give them power over you. Only when you stop looking for approval from others can you truly be your own person. Real confidence means accepting that not everyone will approve. If someone thinks poorly of you, it doesn't make it true. That's just their opinion. You don't have to buy into it. Husband, she murmured, don't let a few nasty words make you second-guess everything. I love you. You can ask me to confirm that as many times as you need. I'll never get tired of telling you. With almost every sentence, Zara punctuated her words with a soft kiss on Ethan Young's lips. His tightly pressed mouth gradually relaxed, and warmth spread through his body. In the dim light of the restroom, Zara felt like the only source of brightness. He braced his hands on the counter beside her, effectively trapping this beacon of light within his arms, unwilling to let her go. Ethan Young asked softly, then what is it you like about me? I like your sincerity and your kindness, Zara began, your passion and your tenderness. I like the feel of your lips when you kiss me. I love seeing you lose control for me. I love your strong, powerful waist. She paused, her tone shifting playfully, in the perfect rhythm of your thrusts. She started out sounding earnest, but her answer grew progressively bolder. In that moment, Zara Sinclair became the light illuminating Ethan Young's dark life. Zara, just give me some time. I'll reach the heights where I belong and stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Through Zara Sinclair's light, he saw a better world, and through his love for her, he would become a better man. There's a saying, asterisk because of you, I want to become a better version of myself, not be a burden to you. So I strive, just to prove I am worthy of you. Asterisk. The serious, focused way Ethan Young tackled problems was undeniably captivating. Another one of Ethan Young's strengths was his refusal to dwell on an issue. When problems arose, he solved them. That was how he navigated his life so far. If he couldn't let things go, he'd have been dead long ago. Ethan Young was a man of perseverance and determination, possessing many shining qualities he himself wasn't aware of. But that was all right. Someone was here now to carefully gather these sparks, affirming and praising him again and again. Praise helps people improve, gives them strength. Zara Sinclair leaned her hips against the bathroom counter, half sitting on it. She lifted a knee, brushing it lightly against Ethan Young's leg. Honey, what you just said, it really moved me. You're amazing. I believe in you. Ethan Young swallowed hard, his mind uncontrollably flashing back to last night. Zara, sitting on top of him, repeatedly praising him, telling him he was amazing, incredible. Heat rushed to Ethan Young's face, his gaze lowered, pupils dark beneath his lashes. He reached out, pressing his hand against Zara Sinclair's knee. Grandma Wood is still outside. Zara leaned close to Ethan Young's ear, gently nipping his earlobe. Grandma Wood doesn't care. I care. His hands, braced on the counter, tightened, veins bulging on the back from the force. His fingers trembled uncontrollably, desperate to grasp something. Ethan Young took several deep breaths, then wrapped his arms around Zara Sinclair's waist and lifted her off the counter. Grandma Wood might not care, but he had to. He knew perfectly well what was appropriate for which setting. He didn't want Zara to be looked at strangely by others. Ethan Young washed his hands thoroughly, drying them with a paper towel. His palms were dry and warm. Zara gave Ethan Young a glance that was both shy and slightly reproachful, her attention focused downward. A man who could control his desire possessed extraordinary willpower. They lingered in the bathroom for a while, adjusting their clothes and hair in the mirror. Zara's hair was down, and when she gently lifted it, red marks were visible on the back of her neck, where Ethan Young had kissed her. The moment they stepped out of the bathroom, they saw Grandma Wood sitting in a chair, leaning forward, clearly trying to eavesdrop. Caught red-handed, Grandma Wood showed no sign of embarrassment, simply closing her eyes calmly. Took you long enough to wash your hands. Must have washed off a layer of skin. Need me to step out, give you two some space. Grandma, what are you talking about? Ethan Young, and I didn't do anything, which sounded suspiciously like a confession. Grandma Wood gave him a look that said, you think I believe that? Was it that they didn't do anything, or that they wanted to but didn't get the chance? Things have been tense lately, easy to get worked up. I understand. Young people enjoyed vigorous exercise. She could understand that too. Faced with Grandma Wood's teasing, Ethan Young was momentarily speechless, only managing to nod and say, yes. Zara pulled out her iPhone. Lucas Taylor had already been taken away by the Taylor family. Just then, Jessica Taylor texted Zara, asking what Lucas had done wrong. Zara replied, he hurt my family, insulted Grandma Wood, and humiliated my husband. That alone was enough grounds to beat Lucas senseless. Jessica Taylor gasped when she received the message. Asterisk, he really asked for it. Why on earth would you provoke Zara Sinclair and drag Arthur Sinclair into it? Asterisk. That hit her. She looked again. Husband? Zara was married? Jessica desperately wanted to ask, but figured Zara was likely in a bad mood and didn't dare. Instead, she called Mr. Taylor to explain the situation. Though Arthur Sinclair was no longer active in high society, her influence remained. When Mr. Taylor learned of the magnitude of his son's mistake, he immediately dropped everything and rushed over with Mrs. Taylor to apologize. Grandma would remain seated, not even lifting an eyelid when they entered, merely letting out a cold humph. That second son of yours is really something else. Knowing full well about my high blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol, he still brings a birthday cake to see me. Is he trying to poison me? Barges in here, starts lecturing me, calling me senile, and even looked like he was about to hit me. If my grandson-in-law hadn't protected me, I could have been seriously hurt. It sounded grave. Mr. Taylor quickly apologized. Auntie Wu, I am so sorry. I will teach Lucas a harsh lesson. He'd heard Lucas was hospitalized. The checkup showed a mild concussion, no broken bones, but he'd lost a tooth and was internally agitated. Is an apology just words from your mouth? Clearly, Grandma was far from satisfied. She frowned at him, her presence carrying an intimidating weight without any sign of anger. At my age, I've already got one foot in the grave. Dr. Johnson constantly reminds me to keep calm, avoid stress and agitation. But your son? He comes right up, points his finger in my face, and lectures me until my head spun. It still hurts now in my heart. If something had truly happened to the old woman, the situation would be irreparable. Mr. Taylor had come genuinely intending to apologize. Given the relationship between the Sinclair and Taylor families, he regarded Grandma Wood as his own elder. After patiently listening to her sharp rebukes, he tentatively asked, "Then how would you like to handle this?" Grandma Wood. Some compensation for emotional distress would be appropriate. Mrs. Taylor quickly pulled out her iPhone. I'll transfer it right now. My phone's dead. Ethan Young, hand me your phone. Only then did Mr. and Mrs. Taylor really notice Ethan Young. Their first impression was handsome, a striking young man. Mrs. Taylor didn't dare stare and asked, "What's the bank account number?" Ethan Young gave his account number. As Mrs. Taylor was about to make the transfer, Grandma Wood added, "Put emotional distress compensation, voluntary gift in the notes." Ding! $15 million arrived. Mrs. Taylor asked, "Auntie Wu, is this sufficient?" Grandma would open her eyes and glanced over. You can go back now. Keep a better eye on your son. Next time, it won't be this price." For Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, problems solvable with money weren't real problems. Seeing the matter resolved smoothly, the couple breathed a sigh of relief. "Auntie Wu, please rest well. We won't disturb you any further." As soon as they left, Ethan Young noticed the fully charged iPhone on the nightstand. "Grandma, your phone is charged. Let me transfer the money to you." Grandma would wave him off. "Keep it. It's your hardship pay." In any relationship, claiming to want nothing is unrealistic. Asterisk, you want my looks? I want your money. Asterisk, wanting money was more reliable. After all, the Sinclair family had plenty. Looks fade with time. As for wanting a true heart, hearts change in an instant. She could tell what kind of heart this young man had. Ethan Young had many good qualities, the greatest being his kindness, sincerity, and sense of responsibility. These were etched into his very being. They wouldn't change. Grandma Wood stood up. Her wrinkled hand rose gently and rested softly on Ethan Young's head. "I know you're a good kid. About all that talk out there, it's not that I don't care at all. It's just that I knew you long before those rumors started. So, no matter what anyone says, I'll always stand with you." What Grandma Wood left unsaid was clear. She didn't care about Ethan Young and Serena Sinclair's past. As long as he stayed true to Zara Sinclair from now on, she would always be on his side. Ethan Young understood Grandma Wood perfectly. His gaze instantly hardened with resolve, like a groom declaring his vows at the altar. "Grandma, thank you for believing in me. I'll prove it to you with my actions. No matter what happens, I'll never leave Zara's side. I will love her, respect her, and cherish her forever, until the day I die." Can love really last that long? Research suggests humans aren't creatures of enduring affection. Undying love goes against our nature. Love, frankly, is just a result of dopamine secretion, like what Ethan Young and Zara Sinclair were experiencing now. A primal physical interest in each other, a seeking of pleasure and excitement. But that kind of interest can't last forever. There's a saying, Love is only real in the instant it's spoken, Grandma would ask. Will you truly love her forever? Ethan Young replied, serious and earnest. I will fall in love with her again and again, at different times, thousands upon thousands of times. Me too. Zara Sinclair, just back from a work call, slipped her arm through Ethan Young's. Grandma, Ethan Young and I already got our marriage license. We're legally married now. Grandma would shot her a look. You think I'm deaf? How many times have you called Ethan Young husband since noon today? When did you two get the license? Zara Sinclair said, just recently, I guess. Grandma, do you think we moved too fast? The shotgun wedding was driven by the fear of letting him get away. Keeping it quiet was meant to give Ethan Young enough freedom to adapt to the new relationship, letting things progress naturally, day by day, hoping love would bloom after marriage. She hadn't told Grandma at first, worried the old woman wouldn't believe them, thinking they were just messing around. Getting married without a stable emotional foundation would certainly raise eyebrows. But things were different now. After spending time together, getting closer, blending their lives physically and emotionally until they were inseparable, quite a few people knew she was married. Serena Sinclair knew, and Zara believed the news would spread soon enough. So, rather than letting Grandma hear it from someone else, it was better to tell her personally and make her happy. Grandma Wood's expression remained calm, showing little surprise. That's not fast. I thought you two might get married the first day you met. Zara Sinclair paused, then asked, if we had gotten the license on the first day, would you have been surprised? What's there to be surprised about? Exceptional people attract each other. You both have the potential for love at first sight. One look, a flash marriage the next. You can build the foundation after getting married. If it were me, I'd have gotten the license that same day. Good men are hard to find, after all, and someone like Ethan Young could be classified as rare. Plenty of people must have their eye on him. When you find someone like that, you naturally have to hold on tight, stamp your claim, and let everyone know they're together. It was almost as if the old woman had a script, predicting things so accurately. Grandma would seem lost in thought. So many years had passed without her realizing it. Watching Ethan Young and Zara, she couldn't help but think of her husband, who had died young. If he were still alive, he would surely be pleased too. Lucas Taylor landed himself in a hospital room. Seeing his sickly appearance, Mr. Taylor was furious. Look at you. Is this how you act? You go abroad to study, and you come back having forgotten all your manners and upbringing? Is that how you treat an elder? If anything had happened to Grandma Wood because of you, how could you possibly make amends? No matter how much he was yelled at, Lucas Taylor remained silent. If he weren't lying in a hospital bed, Mr. Taylor truly wanted to slap him a couple of times, let him feel the sting of fatherly discipline. Mrs. Taylor felt sorry for her son and tried to mediate. All right, that's enough. Grandma Wood is fine, isn't she? If she wasn't fine, your son would be in jail right now. Mrs. Taylor flinched at his roar, lowering her head meekly. After a moment, she asked Lucas Taylor, Lucas, tell Mom what happened today. What did you say to Grandma Wood? As a mother, her bias naturally leaned towards her own son. Grandma Wood seemed perfectly fine, while her son's face was bruised and swollen. It pained her to see him like this. She couldn't believe Lucas Taylor would provoke someone for no reason. Lucas Taylor pressed his lips together tightly, his eyes open but unseeing. He blinked slowly after a long pause, looking utterly soulless. Look at him, acting like he's half dead. Do we owe you something? Mr. Taylor snapped at Lucas, then turned on his wife. And you, just keep spoiling him. Mrs. Taylor gripped her husband's arm tightly. That's enough. If you want to lecture him, wait until he's better. He's already miserable. As a mother who had watched her son grow up, she had seen him happy, angry, sulking, but never like this, so full of pain and despair. He must have suffered some terrible injustice. Lucas Taylor didn't hear a word of his parents' argument. His mind was filled entirely with the image of Zara Sinclair. A delayed ache spread through his heart, feeling like it was being torn into pieces. His vision blurred. Seeing Zara Sinclair and Ethan Young kiss had already driven him nearly mad. He couldn't bear to imagine them being even more intimate. Lucas Taylor clenched his jaw hard. The metallic taste of blood filled his mouth, and a dense pain spread through every tooth. He couldn't even cry. Serena Sinclair falling for Ethan Young could be explained as feelings developing over time. Alice Taylor falling for Ethan Young might have been getting too caught up in her role. But Zara Sinclair? With so many outstanding men around her, she hadn't chosen any of them. Why, of all people, did she choose Ethan Young? The image of Zara Sinclair kissing Ethan Young flashed relentlessly before his eyes, her standing on tiptoe, actively leaning in as if Ethan were her most precious treasure. Mr. Taylor, irritated by his son's lifeless state, stormed out, leaving Mrs. Taylor alone in the room to look after him. That evening, Jessica Taylor called Alice Taylor, who was resting at home, and they went to the hospital to visit Lucas Taylor. Alice had heard from Jessica that Lucas had been beaten up, but she hadn't expected it to be this bad. His eyelid was swollen shut. "Brother, who did this to you? You're hurt so badly," Alice asked with concern. Lucas Taylor, silent all afternoon, finally spoke. "It was Ethan Young," Alice blurted out. "What did you do for him to hit you?" "Ethan Young and Zara Sinclair are together. Did you know?" Alice's expression changed instantly, her eyes darting away. Lucas Taylor gave a self-mocking twist of his lips. "Looks like you knew all along." His own sister had hidden things from him repeatedly, lied to him. She knew how much he cared, yet she wouldn't tell him the truth, letting him sink deeper into this mess. Alice was frightened by Lucas Taylor's gaze. She wanted to say something, but didn't know how to start. Jessica Taylor, still bewildered, asked, "Who Zara Sinclair is with? What does that have to do with you?" "How could it not? I love Zara Sinclair. I love her. I went abroad 5 years ago for her. I love her. I've loved her for so many years. Nobody loves her more than I do. Why won't she even look at me? Why won't she give me a chance?" "You're insane." Alice Taylor shot up from her chair. "You love Zara Sinclair? Then what about Serena Sinclair? What does she mean to you? She's been your girlfriend for years. She's your fiancée. How could you do this to her?" Lucas Taylor cried out emotionally. "And how could she do this to me? If she really loved me, she wouldn't have been seeing another man behind my back." One bombshell dropped after another. Alice Taylor tried to untangle the mess, piecing things together. "You like Zara Sinclair. So that $15 million necklace was?" Lucas Taylor admitted, "I bought it for Zara Sinclair." No wonder Lucas had reacted so strongly back then and asked her to keep it a secret. Wait, if Lucas really considered it a secret, he wouldn't have bought the necklace right in front of her. So, was he actually trying to use her to force the issue? To put it bluntly, Lucas Taylor was just a coward who couldn't even admit he'd had a change of heart. Alice Taylor stared at Lucas in disbelief. One went abroad for 5 years, supposedly for his true love, while the other secretly kept a man for 5 years. In just these few minutes, Alice's entire perception of the couple had shattered. She had once envied Lucas Taylor and Serena Sinclair, thinking they had such a strong, loving relationship. She never imagined it had decayed so badly. In this age of disposable relationships, even childhood sweethearts had grown weary of each other. Jessica Taylor listened calmly, already piecing together the sequence of events. Driven by resentment and frustration, Lucas had lashed out in anger. Fueled by jealousy, he had gone to cause trouble, only to prove incapable and get beaten up instead. Looking at Lucas Taylor's face again, only one thought remained. "Serves him right." Jessica Taylor said, "I don't understand what right you have to judge anyone else. You don't even qualify as the other man. Even calling you desperate is giving you too much credit. You're just pathetic, a total creep. It's like a disease. You need help. You should check into the psychiatric ward next door." "I'm not sick. I know what I want. Since they're both daughters of the Sinclair family, and it's all about merging the families anyway, why can't I choose the one I actually like?" "Sis." Lucas grabbed Jessica Taylor's hand tightly. "Sis, help me. Talk to Mom and Dad. They'll definitely listen to you. Aren't you and Zara Sinclair on good terms? Put in a good word for me with her." Two heads were better than one. Wait, he could even add a third person. Lucas suddenly looked at Alice Taylor. "Don't you like Ethan Young? Go seduce him. Make him cheat. If Ethan Young cheated, Zara Sinclair would surely break up with him. Then Lucas would have his chance. To achieve his goal, he was willing to discard family ties, morals, principles, everything. He used to think Ethan Young wasn't good enough for Alice. But if Ethan broke up with Zara, he could accept him as a brother-in-law, welcome him into the Taylor family. Alice's eyes widened in shock. She was speechless for a moment, then laughed bitterly out of anger. "You want me to be the other woman?" Jessica was right. Alice snapped, her eyes red not from sadness, but from sheer anger at Lucas. "You really are pathetic. You're sick in the head. You're disgusting. Seriously, did your brain get swapped with your ass? Because nothing but crap comes out of your mouth. You talk such garbage. A morally bankrupt, disgusting man like you. Even if Zara Sinclair and Ethan Young broke up, she wouldn't give you the time of day. If she would, she wouldn't have beaten him up like this." Jessica Taylor also pushed Lucas away in disgust. With Zara Sinclair's capabilities, she doesn't need an arranged marriage at all. Even if you broke off your engagement with Serena, you'd never be able to marry her. I advise you to give up this idea immediately. Neither family can afford this embarrassment. If Dad finds out, he'll break your legs. On this matter, she sided with reason, not family. She truly felt Lucas Taylor wasn't worthy of Zara Sinclair. As if remembering something, Jessica took out her phone and opened a text message. Zara Sinclair said you hurt her family, insulted Grandma Wood, and humiliated her husband today. Is she married already? Impossible. Lucas's face darkened as he retorted loudly. She can't possibly be married to Ethan Young. But knowing Zara Sinclair, Jessica doubted she would call a boyfriend her husband. Sis, are you really not going to put in a good word for me? Jessica's tone was cold and distant. Don't even think about it. And as for breaking the engagement, if you want to do it yourself. No one's helping you. She didn't want to get involved in this mess. Lucas closed his eyes and turned his back to them. Was loving Zara Sinclair such a terrible crime? Why was everyone against it? Zara wasn't married yet. And even if she was, she could still get divorced or become a widow. When it came to feelings, who could say for sure? Anything was possible in the future. Beside them, Alice Taylor opened her mouth as if to speak, but hesitated, ultimately saying nothing. It was clear Lucas was deeply shaken, already starting to ramble nonsense. If she told him now that Zara Sinclair and Ethan Young were already married, he might just explode with anger. I want to break off the engagement with Lucas Taylor. Mrs. Sinclair, scrolling through short videos, didn't even look up. Did you two fight again? She didn't take Serena's words seriously at all. It was normal for couples to argue. Break up today, back together tomorrow. Serena and Lucas had fought constantly as kids, even getting physical, crying and swearing they'd never speak again. Look at them now, weren't they fine? He cheated. Mrs. Sinclair stiffened and looked up at Serena. Did you catch him in the act? No, but to Serena, it was just as disgusting. It made no difference. You've been engaged for so many years. I've even discussed it with the Taylors. We were planning your wedding for next March. It's a good time. The weather won't be cold. You can look beautiful in your wedding dress for the photos. Mrs. Sinclair advised patiently, speaking earnestly. Since you didn't catch him red-handed, maybe things can still be fixed. Men, well, it's normal for them to be fickle. Once he's married, he'll be responsible, just like it was with your father and me. Serena said, but he doesn't love me. He loves someone else. Mrs. Sinclair smiled, but there was no mirth in her eyes. What's love worth? Why chase after love when there are better things to aim for? You and Lucas have known each other for years. You know each other inside out. Our families get along well. It's a good match socially and financially. The Taylors watched you grow up. If you marry him, you won't have to worry about mother-in-law problems. They'll treat you like their own daughter. If you break things off with Lucas, it'll be hard to find a better match than this. Serena, you're turning 26 next year. Listen to your mother. Get married soon. Have children soon. Serena was breathing rapidly with anger from her mother's words, which aggravated her injuries. When she spoke, her breath hitched. Mom, do you know who Lucas loves? It's Zara Sinclair. He went abroad 5 years ago for Zara Sinclair. How can you expect me to go on with this? It's not just me who wants to break it off now. He does too. Besides, I don't love him anymore. I have a visceral aversion to him. Just looking at him makes me sick to my stomach. When Mrs. Sinclair heard Serena say that Lucas Taylor liked Zara Sinclair, her first reaction was that it made sense. Although she disliked her older daughter, she couldn't deny that Zara was better than Serena in every way, and not just by a little bit. So, it was only natural for Lucas Taylor to shift his affections to Zara. Mrs. Sinclair had no patience for listening to talk of he doesn't love me, I don't love him. She found it irritating. What couldn't you want that you have to want love? How long can one person love you? When you get to my age, you'll know that only money is truly important. Love and marriage will betray you, but money never will. That's how I got through it. Mrs. Sinclair spread her hands. Back when your father and I first got married, I was finding out he was cheating with someone new practically every day. But look, aren't your father and I doing just fine now? Serena stared blankly at Mrs. Sinclair. She knew bits and pieces about the family's troubles, but she'd always heard them from outsiders. Mrs. Sinclair had never spoken to her about it. In her eyes, she lived in a happy home, a harmonious family with loving parents. Though not an only child, she was treated even better than one, with her parents showering all their affection on her, giving her whatever she wanted. Now Mrs. Sinclair's few short sentences had shattered her perception. Her eyes widened in confusion. I can't do it. Cheat once, and you lose me forever. He can cheat the first time. He can cheat the second time. He hasn't cheated physically yet, not because he doesn't want to, but because he hasn't had the chance. Over time, his morals will sink lower and lower along with his desires. Serena couldn't accept Lucas changing his mind, and even less could she accept him changing his mind for Zara Sinclair. A man who doesn't respect himself is like rotten goods. If he's like this before marriage, what will he be like after? She and Lucas Taylor already couldn't stand the sight of each other. Forcing them together would just create a miserable, resentful couple. Serena spoke clearly, trying to persuade Mrs. Sinclair. Mom, my situation is different from yours and Dad's. Lucas Taylor is selfish, and his behavior is improper. He doesn't just cheat, he's abusive. This bruise on my stomach? He did this. Hearing this, Mrs. Sinclair fell silent for a moment. After weighing the pros and cons, Mrs. Sinclair still believed marrying into the Taylor family was the better option. She said, "So, if you don't want to marry Lucas Taylor, who do you want to marry?" An image of Ethan Young quickly flashed through Serena's mind. Seeing her expression, Mrs. Sinclair knew Serena had someone in mind. She probed subtly, setting aside everything else. Does his family have as much money as Lucas Taylor's? Serena shook her head. Can his job support you? Serena still shook her head. Is he highly educated? How many people are in his family? What do his parents do? After these questions, Serena lapsed into silence. So, besides his looks, he had nothing. The only thing he could offer was emotional validation. Mrs. Sinclair scoffed. So, you're tired of the bitterness of your iced Americanos, and now you want to taste the bitterness of real life? Let me ask you, would you give up your current status to experience his life? Would you really want that? Mrs. Sinclair's words were like a bucket of cold water thrown over Serena, bringing a moment of clarity to her muddled mind. She thought carefully about the hard life Ethan Young had lived these past few years. Just thinking about it filled her with revulsion. Mrs. Sinclair took Serena's cold hand. You grew up in a mansion with nannies taking care of you. If you wanted to move out, you could buy a large apartment with pocket change. Your favorite brands have designers creating custom pieces just for you. Jewelry, accessories, you lack nothing. You wanted to get into the entertainment industry, so your dad bought Sinclair Media Group and put in your name. If it weren't for the family's money, would you enjoy any of this? Serena lowered her head, her voice trembling as she asked, If you can give me everything, why can't you let me be with the person I like? What like? You're just lusting after his body, aren't you? Mrs. Sinclair said dismissively. Power and status aren't contagious like some disease. You don't just absorb them by sleeping with someone. If you don't have the ability yourself, don't indulge in fantasies. At this, her tone softened, becoming earnest. Serena, only marriage can be the stepping stone to secure your social standing. Don't forget you still have that bet going with your sister. Marry Lucas Taylor, tie your interests together, and the Taylor family will help you. Without the Taylors, relying on yourself, it will be very hard for you to win. Serena's expression changed, and she said excitedly, Why can't I win against Zara Sinclair? Am I really that bad? Why don't even you believe in me? Mrs. Sinclair looked at Serena's agitated, frazzled state and didn't coddle her, as she might have before. It's fine to be confident, but not blindly confident. You need to recognize the situation and face reality. If Serena had the capability herself, it would be one thing, but the problem was she lacked ability, yet had grand ambitions. Scratch the surface, and there was nothing underneath. Serena had thought pouring her heart out to her mother would bring understanding. Instead, her mother was just like everyone else, thinking she wasn't as good as Zara Sinclair. Though Mrs. Sinclair's tone was calm and her expression gentle, every word felt like a knife stabbing at her. To act like nothing happened and stay with Lucas Taylor, she couldn't do it. She couldn't be that magnanimous. The thought of potentially spending decades with Lucas made her want to drug him, poison him, and become a widow. The most important thing for you to do now is get married and have children, solidify your position. Even if you lose the bet, it won't really affect you much. Once things are stable, you and Lucas Taylor can live separate lives. He can find whoever he wants, and you can find someone behind his back too. Mrs. Sinclair kept repeating this in Serena's ear, afraid she'd get irrational and call off the engagement with the Taylor family. She understood Serena's feelings. She herself had gone through something similar long ago. It was hard to accept at first, but slowly she got used to it, like breathing. Mom, Serena asked suddenly, you don't happen to be keeping a man on the side behind Dad's back, do you? Mrs. Sinclair's hand stiffened. She instinctively tried to pull it back, but Serena held on tightly. Serena looked at Mrs. Sinclair with a scrutinizing gaze, trying to read something on her face. She could accept herself having affairs, but she couldn't accept her own mother doing it, betraying her father. I haven't. Serena cut her off. Mom, you can't do anything to betray Dad. He works hard enough as it is. You, on the other hand, not only do nothing but also cause trouble, letting Zara Sinclair walk away with over 100 million. If you cheated, you'd definitely be left with nothing in a divorce. The words were unpleasant. Although she didn't do much tangible work, it didn't mean she hadn't contributed. Mrs. Sinclair suppressed her emotions. I know very well what should and shouldn't be done. Serena tightened her grip on Mrs. Sinclair's wrist, feeling her pulse racing. For some reason, she strongly sensed her mother was hiding something. After a tense moment, Mrs. Sinclair's iPhone rang. I need to take this call. Serena released her hand. Mrs. Sinclair opened her bag, took out her iPhone, glanced at the number, and immediately rejected the call. Then she sent a text message. I have to go out for something. The nurse is here watching you, so it should be fine. Just rest well. Call home if you need anything. Finally, Mrs. Sinclair didn't forget to warn her, you'd better not let your father know about what we talked about today. Seeing how flustered Mrs. Sinclair looked, Serena Sinclair's unease intensified. Her mother hadn't been the same since she got back from the Seabreeze police station. Serena couldn't help but wonder, could Mom really be seeing someone else? But you needed proof to accuse someone, like catching thieves red-handed. She couldn't condemn her mother based purely on suspicion. Serena didn't want to doubt Mrs. Sinclair, but what her mother had said earlier that day really made her think. Usually, when someone encourages you to do something bad, it means they're already doing it themselves. If her mother really was having an affair, and it got out, their family would be finished. Mr. Sinclair cheated, but he would never tolerate his wife doing the same. She couldn't even think about it. The more Serena thought, the more panicked she became, even forgetting about Ethan Young for a moment. After a long internal struggle, she pulled out her iPhone and texted the private investigator. I need you to do something for me. I'll pay extra. You must keep this confidential. Absolutely no third party can know. Rest assured, Miss Sinclair, we have an agreement. My professional ethics demand absolute confidentiality. If the investigator dared leak a client's business, his career would be over. Private investigators handled more secrets than anyone. They had to guard not only their own, but everyone else's. Entering this field meant remembering one crucial rule: avoid unnecessary curiosity. Serena typed, then please investigate my mother for me. You mean Mrs. Sinclair? Yes. What specifically should I look into? Who she's been meeting with recently, whether she has any romantic interests. So, she suspected her own mother of cheating. The investigator often got cases like this, and actually enjoyed them. They were relatively low risk and interesting. No wonder Serena Sinclair insisted on secrecy. He replied, okay, no problem. Serena, a couple of hours ago, my mom took a call and left. She seemed rushed, probably going to meet someone. See if you can find out. Investigator, I'll try my luck. Once suspicion takes root, the truth isn't far behind. Serena put down her iPhone after reading his reply, looked out the window, and let out a long sigh. She just hoped she was overthinking things. At 8 that evening, the investigator sent an update. Miss Sinclair, I was staking out the area near your house. I saw Mrs. Sinclair get out of a man's car. The man didn't look like a driver. What's the license plate number? Looking at the plate number the investigator sent, Serena saw it was from out of town. How would her mother know a man like that? Alarm bells went off in her head, a loud ringing warning her not to dig any deeper, that this wouldn't end well for her. Find out who owns that car. I want all his information. This would take time. Starting with a license plate, the investigator found the owner's basic information. The man's name was Zachary Young. He used to live in Maplewood, but moved to Wuching later. He'd been married for over 10 years and had a son. Reading this, Serena felt a wave of relief. It seemed she had been overthinking it. Why would her mother get involved with a married man? Serena asked, what's he doing in Maplewood? The investigator replied, his old house is being demolished. He came back to handle the paperwork. How did these two seemingly unconnected people know each other? When Serena didn't reply for a while, the investigator asked, Miss Sinclair, is there anything else you need me to check? Serena, I want to know how they met. From the photos the investigator sent, the man named Zachary Young dressed plainly and drove an ordinary car. Mrs. Sinclair looked completely out of place sitting in it. I'll need to look into that. My guess is their relationship isn't simple. Serena's heart tightened. What makes you say that? Just a gut feeling? Sometimes people like paparazzi and investigators had incredibly accurate instincts. Serena nervously pressed her lips together. Her right eyelid kept twitching, and a throbbing pain started in her temple. The sky outside was pitch black, but Serena couldn't sleep. The painkillers had worn off, and the wound on her abdomen began to ache. Unable to turn over, she could only lie flat on her back until her bones felt sore. Serena wasn't mentally tough. she'd never really experienced hardship. Her life had been too smooth, making her easily defeated by the slightest setback. It felt as though all the pain and suffering of her first 25 years had been compressed into this past month. In the dead of night, everyone else was resting. The only sound was the footsteps of a nurse on duty walking outside. Serena saw the nurse dozing off at the desk and exploded with anger. She grabbed the thermos from the table and threw it at her. The thermos still had water in it, making it heavy enough to hurt badly upon impact. Startled awake, the nurse gasped, clutching her back. Unsure what had happened, she looked up and met Serena Sinclair's cold, sinister gaze, which made her tremble. "Serena, Miss Sinclair, what's wrong? I pay to take care of me, not to sleep on the job." The nurse quickly stood up. "My throat is dry. I need water." The nurse picked up the thermos from the floor. "Give me a fresh cup." The nurse got a cup of water, checked the temperature to make sure it wasn't hot, and then handed it over. "Miss Sinclair, please drink." Instead, Serena threw the cup of water right at her. "This is scalding. Are you trying to burn me?" The nurse looked utterly wronged. If it weren't for the generous pay from the Sinclair family, she would have quit right then and there. "I need to use the restroom. Help me up." The nurse carefully reached out, helped Serena sit up in bed, and put her slippers on. As soon as Serena stood up, lifting her leg pulled at the wound. She slapped the nurse across the face. "You touched my wound." "I didn't." The nurse wasn't old, maybe in her early 20s, around Serena's age. At that age, pride is strong. Being slapped brought tears instantly streaming down her face. "Are you saying I'd falsely accuse you?" Serena said cuttingly. "You take the money, you do the job. If you can't handle it, get out." Serena had been bottling up her frustration, and now she'd finally found someone to take it out on. Sometimes, Serena treated the people around her like she treated Ethan Young, believing money could buy anything, including dignity. Asterisk, since I paid you, I can order you around however I want. Asterisk, but not everyone was like Ethan Young, willing to sell their dignity for a 5-year contract and put on a smiling face for her. The nurse pushed Serena back onto the bed. "Actually, I don't want this job anymore. I can't handle a spoiled princess like you." Wiping her tears, the nurse ran out. Serena sat on the bed, clutching her abdomen, her face alternating between pale from pain and flushed with anger. She proceeded to sweep everything off the bedside table onto the floor. Hearing the commotion, the on-duty nurse rushed in to check. "My wound hurts. Can you do something? Is it very painful?" Meeting Serena's icy stare, the nurse quickly added, "Should I get Dr. Johnson to take a look?" Dr. Johnson examined her, but it was the same situation. No bleeding. It wasn't abnormal to feel some pain after abdominal surgery. Finally, at Serena's insistence, they put her on an 4-drip for the pain. Not long after the drip started, her phone buzzed with a message from the investigator. Hearing the text notification, Serena opened it with one hand. The investigator had sent photos of Zachary Young. He had dug up pictures of Zachary Young from his younger days through his social media accounts. Looking at the man in the photos, Serena felt a strange sensation. Maybe it was her imagination, but she thought her eyes looked a bit like his. Serena Sinclair's eyes didn't resemble either of her parents. Her mother explained that she took after her maternal grandmother. Serena touched her eyes, thinking how people always jump to the worst conclusions. How could she possibly not be her father's biological daughter? Her mother was so timid. How could she possibly cheat on her father? The thought almost made Serena laugh. The detective said, "According to the information I've gathered, the two of them were classmates back in the day." "Oh, so it was just an old class reunion then?" "Probably nothing," Serena said dismissively, looking at the man in the photo. She couldn't believe her mother would be involved with someone like him. If she were going to have an affair, wouldn't she go for some young, attractive stud? Not necessarily, the detective countered. He'd handled plenty of these cases. Often, beautiful women cheat with men who are quite average-looking, nothing compared to their husbands. In any case, I'm sure there's something going on between them. We just haven't uncovered it yet. The detective continued. A while ago, Zachary Young went to the Seabreeze police station on some business. That's where he ran into Mrs. Sinclair. Serena froze. She remembered how her mother had been acting strangely the past few days. Ever since returning from the Seabreeze police station, Mrs. Sinclair had become jumpy and neurotic. Not only did the timid woman refuse to leave the house herself, but she also forbade Serena from going out. At first, Serena had just assumed the police had spooked her. The detective was clearly digging up more and more dirt, practically itching to watch Mrs. Sinclair 24/7. "Miss Sinclair," he asked, "do you want me to keep investigating?" Serena's ears were ringing. For a moment, she didn't know what to do. Her mind felt split in two. One part told her to stop here. Digging deeper wouldn't do her any good. But the other part urged her on, whispering that it was better to know, to keep watching. Doing something was better than doing nothing. If there was something going on, finding out now would let her prepare. Better to face it head-on than wait passively. Keep following her, she finally said. Let me know immediately if anything happens. After speaking, Serena transferred another $15 million to him. Consider it done, the detective replied cheerfully, clearly pleased with the payment. He asked solicitously, should I continue surveillance on Lucas Taylor? No. Serena felt a wave of nausea just hearing Lucas Taylor's name. Her expression hardened. I don't want to know anything about him right now, but arrange for someone to keep an eye on Ethan Young. I want information on him and Zara Sinclair. The detective sent an OK emoji and signed off. Serena lowered her gaze and opened the photo again. The man looked to be in his 50s with noticeable wrinkles. His demeanor and looks were a far cry from Mr. Sinclair's. Serena stared intently at the man's eyes until her iPhone screen went dark. In the black reflection, her own face seemed to merge with his. Startled, Serena violently threw the phone to the floor. She had already dismissed the nurse from the previous night. A new one had arrived today, looking to be in her 30s. Perhaps aware of Serena's difficult temper and demanding nature, the nurse remained tense all day, afraid to relax or even take a break. She stood whenever possible, careful not to hover within Serena's direct line of sight, yet never disappearing completely. She also avoided staring directly at Serena, knowing it made her uncomfortable. Instead, the nurse positioned herself in an unobtrusive corner, observing discreetly out of the corner of her eye. By the end of the day, she felt more exhausted than when she had cared for 3 patients simultaneously. No wonder the nurse from last night had quit on the spot. The nurse picked up the iPhone. Miss Sinclair, your phone. Serena took it back. The doctor had told her to calm down and rest, but she couldn't quiet her mind. It was completely consumed by everything going on. On top of everything, Zachary Carter had recently resigned, leaving her buried under a mountain of work. There was no one to help manage things, and delegating was difficult. Even stuck in the hospital, she had to worry about work. Things like distribution and promotion for the Christmas movie releases, signing performance-based contracts. From the moment she opened her eyes, she was bombarded with texts and calls. Ethan Young's latest movie had just finished filming, and word was it was also aiming for a Christmas season release. Rushing it like that clearly meant he wanted to go head-to-head with her. Serena had looked up the details of his film. It held zero appeal for her. Who would watch a horror movie during the Christmas season? It seemed like bad luck just thinking about it. The entire production team could only be described as trash, a pair of hack directors known for churning out garbage, making it doubly awful. As for the cast, Ethan Young was a nobody in the industry. The only recognizable name was Alice Taylor, and her acting skills were lacking, certainly no match for A-list talent. A movie like this was destined to bomb. Probably wouldn't even last 3 days in theaters before being pulled. Serena couldn't wait to watch Ethan Young fail. She wanted him to know that choosing Zara Sinclair was the biggest mistake he'd ever made. He'd be much worse off without her. Serena planned not only to promote her own film, but also to actively crush Ethan Young's, ensuring he couldn't hold his head high. Different industries are worlds apart, after all. She wished him nothing but failure. The movie Serena was releasing was called Stealing Spirit, a fantasy comedy adapted from a popular IP. It already had a solid fan base. The special effects alone took a year to complete. The budget was $20 million, and it starred some of the country's hottest actors. To break even, the box office needed to hit $2 billion. Serena was confident $2 billion would be a piece of cake. She had high hopes for this holiday blockbuster. Looking at the competition, none of the other releases stood a chance. She predicted theaters would give her film at least 40% of the screenings. She'd take the lion's share, leaving scraps for the others. She intended to dominate the entire market. Currently, the film was already in promotion mode. The team was creating buzz, buying marketing placements for pre-release hype, and advance ticket sales had already hit 50 million, making it the most anticipated film among audiences. The detective texted Serena daily updates. Regarding Ethan Young, after filming wrapped, he threw himself into post-production, discussing storyboards with the director, working with the post-production team on special effects and music. He was doing the work of 3 people, even writing the song lyrics himself. Serena learned from the detective that Ethan Young and Zara Sinclair were now living together. Even though she already knew, seeing the photos the detective sent felt like being shoved face-first into a mud pit, sinking deeper, suffocating. Serena's eyes turned red, filled with raw jealousy. She felt like a creature of darkness, spying on their happiness. Watching them see a movie together, buy flowers, stroll hand in hand, even grocery shopping together at the supermarket. Zara Sinclair held a bouquet of fresh flowers while Ethan carried handfuls of shopping bags. Another photo showed Ethan giving Zara a piggyback ride home down a street at night. Though her surgery had been on her abdomen, she felt as though a knife had just pierced her heart. Pain surged through her, sharp at first, then settling into a dull, heavy ache. Since Serena was miserable, she couldn't stand seeing anyone else happy. She was the one who'd hired the detective, yet seeing the photos felt like Zara was deliberately flaunting her happiness at her. Why did Zara get to be so happy? Why should she be allowed to smile like that? That smile was blinding. Serena didn't want them to be happy. To destroy it all, she needed an angle, a weak point. Her mind raced. Finally, she had it. Ethan Young's sister, Emily Young. A while back, she'd had Zachary Carter looking into her, but he'd come up empty after a month. Had he truly found nothing? Or had he found something and not told her? Right now, she couldn't be bothered to dwell on it, because now, she knew exactly where Emily Young was. Ethan Young had been staying with Emily Young at Seabreeze General Hospital. Doctors had finalized a treatment plan. A patient with a traumatic brain injury had agreed to donate their heart, hoping to live on in another way. Emily was a match. Ethan desperately wanted to meet the donor to express his gratitude, but strict legal regulations prohibited contact between the recipient and donor's family to protect the rights and privacy of both parties. Seabreeze General Hospital risked criminal penalties if they violated this rule. The idea of carrying another person's heart and living as two people weighed on Emily. When she wasn't resting, she spent her time drawing in her hospital room. Ethan had even hired a therapist to provide daily counseling. Compared to Ethan's anxiety, Emily appeared remarkably calm. "Ethan, if the surgery isn't successful..." Ethan immediately interrupted, his face serious. "Don't say such things. You're a comic artist. You know you can't jinx it." Emily quickly covered her mouth and nodded vigorously. Ethan's nerves were frayed. With Emily's surgery looming, his anxiety grew with each passing day, terrified of something going wrong. He was walking on eggshells. Ethan had always been a pragmatist, never one for superstition, but lately he'd been consulting horoscopes, zodiac compatibility, and auspicious dates, praying for a safe outcome. "Ethan, how's Zara Sinclair? How is she doing? She wanted to visit you today, but she's swamped with work. She promised to be there for your surgery, though. She said she has a surprise for you." Emily blushed. "She's already spent so much time with me. When you're filming, she visits almost every day just to chat." At the mention of Zara, Ethan's expression softened. "Yes, she's wonderful. You're not so bad yourself. You two are perfect together. Your future babies are going to be gorgeous." After discussing Zara, Emily turned to Ethan's work. "I'm still waiting for you to draw that promotional poster for me." It was almost embarrassing. Ethan, with his 990,000 followers, wasn't as active as Emily with her 200,000. Emily gave him an okay sign. "Consider it done." Knowing how busy Ethan was, Emily didn't want him to stay long, urging him to leave. She was used to being alone in the hospital. As a homebody, she wasn't afraid of solitude. As long as she could draw and use the internet, she could entertain herself for days. "Ethan, you should go back to work. Time waits for no one. I'm counting on you to have a box office hit, so you could take me out to dinner. I'm feeling good. I'm not scared of the operating room." After all, she'd been in there many times before. People fear pain, but with enough exposure, the body adapts. Despite her heart condition, her resilience was second to none. After pushing Ethan out of the room, Emily fussed over him like a mother hen. "Don't visit unless you absolutely have to. Look how thin you've gotten. And those dark circles. I dreamt of Mom last night. She was nagging me, saying you weren't eating or sleeping properly, that you're ruining your health. She said when you get ugly, your girlfriend won't love you anymore." He didn't need a girlfriend's love. He had his wife's. His current state was much better than when he was filming. Mrs. Ward was constantly making him nourishing soups and meals at home. He even had time to exercise. He'd lift weights while Zara did yoga nearby, stretching and posing her tight workout clothes, inspiring Ethan to try new exercises. Zara had moved into his bedroom, then coaxed him into hers, where a large, framed copy of their marriage certificate hung on the wall, a stark, almost jarring splash of red. Ethan thought he should take more wedding photos to replace it. Living together meant their belongings had mingled. Her toiletries sat on his sink. His razor rested on her vanity. He'd once searched high and low for his tie, only to find it in her underwear drawer. Zara had also redecorated, filling their home with matching items. Slippers, towels, mugs, bowls, toothbrushes, even combs. Another of Zara's favorite pastimes was having Ethan choose her lingerie. One wall of their closet was dedicated to clothes selected according to his preferences. Zara could pull off both cute and sexy. She could don bunny ears and call him Big Brother, or strut around in Valentino heels and black stockings, wielding a belt and demanding he call her mistress. This winter had been passionate, reminding Ethan of an old song. "You're like a fire in the winter." Zara's casual remark, "I have plenty of energy and ways to keep you busy," kept him in a constant state of delightful exhaustion. He willingly knelt before her, obeying her every command. Of course, they weren't always this intense. While it was fun, their health was important. But even when Zara did nothing but lie quietly in his arms, it was enough to make his heart race. Zara didn't like to wear much to bed. Even in winter, she wore silky summer nightgowns that felt like nothing at all. She was a still sleeper, nestled against him, sometimes holding his hand, sometimes draped across his waist. When comfortable, she made cute little whimpering sounds. Upon waking, the first thing she did was nuzzle against his chest, her favorite spot being close to his heart. She had a captivating scent, not of perfume. Ethan initially thought it was her shower gel or shampoo, but even when they bathed together in plain water, he could still smell it, a faint but intoxicating aroma. Since they'd gotten together, Zara had developed a habit of biting him. Never hard, just enough to leave a small mark, like a kitten retracting its claws to bat at him with a pink paw. She liked to nibble on his lips, chin, neck, arms. And from there, things would escalate. Ethan was discovering all facets of Zara, unlocking new treasures every day. He never imagined a woman would burst into his life and change it so drastically, seamlessly weaving herself into his existence, captivating him entirely. Even if marriage and love were a cage, some people were happy to be captive. Emily made a disgusted sound. "Ew, Ethan, that look is nauseating. Just go already." She knew whenever Ethan was daydreaming with a smile, he was thinking of Zara. Ethan was speechless. Emily's teasing broke the tension. Unable to argue with her, and with Liam Lawrence calling and needing his help, Ethan relented. "Are you sure you'll be all right on your own?" "I'm not a child, Ethan. I'll be fine." "Then take care of yourself. Don't wander off, listen to the doctors, stay off the computer, and get plenty of rest. Call me if you need anything." All right, I get it, Ethan. Stop worrying about me. I can handle myself." Emily Young pushed Ethan Young into the elevator and waved. "Bye, Ethan. Be safe, take care of yourself, and look after Zara, okay?" Ethan looked like he wanted to say something more, a helpless expression on his face, but in the end, he just gave her a small smile. "Okay." After watching Ethan leave, Emily went back to her hospital room. She picked up her tablet and continued drawing. Halfway through, her phone rang. Emily put down her tablet and picked up her iPhone. It was an unknown number. Seeing it was local, Emily answered, "Hello? It's Serena Sinclair. You probably remember me." Emily paused, taken aback. "Why are you calling me?" "I want to meet with you. Right here at Seabreeze General Hospital." "No way. I'm not meeting you." The caller was clearly annoyed. "Fine. Then I'll just say it in a text message. You listen carefully." "I'm not listening." Hearing the hostility in her tone, Emily immediately hung up, her guard instantly up. When the person called back immediately, Emily rejected it and blocked the number. She put down her iPhone and picked up the tablet again, but this time she couldn't bring herself to draw. Her inspiration was gone, her mind consumed with wondering why Serena Sinclair had suddenly called her. They barely knew each other. What could she possibly want to say? Emily remembered the first time she'd met Serena Sinclair. She had seemed like one of those impossibly beautiful and elegant heiresses straight out of a novel. Emily had only been 15 then and hadn't known how to act around someone like that. It had taken a long internal struggle before she finally mustered the courage to approach her. She'd held out an apple and asked, "Serena, would you like an apple?" Emily still remembered the look Serena had given her, exactly like she was looking at a piece of trash on the ground, full of disdain and disgust. In the end, Serena had tossed the apple into the trash can. Serena clearly didn't like her, but Emily had told herself it didn't matter, as long as she liked Ethan. At 8 o'clock that evening, Emily was lying in her hospital bed, watching TV, when she heard footsteps outside. Then, the door, which had been slightly ajar, was pushed open. Emily assumed it was a doctor making rounds, but then a feeling of unease washed over her. She looked up, and upon seeing who had entered, she instinctively reached for the call bell. "Don't be so quick to press that. I'll just say a few words, and then I'll leave." Serena Sinclair placed a basket of apples on the bedside table, a smile playing on her lips. "It's been a while since I came to see you. How have you been lately?" People don't show up out of the blue like this unless they want something, Emily thought, her guard up, refusing to relax even for a moment. I'm fine. What are you doing here? Serena made herself right at home, sitting down in the chair by the bed. Her gaze flickered as she looked at Emily, a strange stiffness beneath her casual posture. Class difference really makes a world of difference in presence, Serena thought. She always judged people by appearances, and looking at Emily's timid, almost subservient manner, she found her utterly lacking in grace. Serena felt a natural sense of superiority when faced with people like this. Serena sat with perfect posture, but beneath her seemingly calm expression, malice glinted deep within her eyes. Do you know Zara Sinclair? She's my brother's girlfriend. Girlfriend? Serena scoffed. She's only interested in your brother Ethan's looks. You think she's some kind of saint? If it weren't for you, your brother would never be with her. Emily shot back defensively. Why do you have a talk about Zara like that? Because I'm her sister. Because I know her best, Serena retorted. She's always been consumed by jealousy, ever since we were kids. Jealous that mom and dad loved me more. Jealous that I always had better things than her. So she always tried to take what was mine. Zara played around a lot back in Y country, flirting shamelessly with countless men behind people's backs. First, she seduced my fiancé, and then she set her sights on Ethan. Who's really the jealous one here? Emily grabbed her tablet from the bedside table, opened the camera app, and aimed it directly at Serena. Take a good look at yourself. Your looks, your presence, your height, your figure, your manners, your education, your success. How can you even compare to Zara in any of those things? Next to her, you're just a joke. You. Serena shot to her feet, her face contorted with rage, looking like she was about to hit Emily. Emily immediately yanked the call bell cord hanging on the wall. You dare lay a hand on me in here, and I'll call the police. I'll have you thrown in jail. Serena's face was glacial, her hand raised mid-air, trembling uncontrollably. After a long moment, she slowly lowered it. Ethan is your brother. After all, can you really bear to watch him go down the wrong path, ruin his life with her? She paused, a cold smirk spreading across her face. Watch him be condemned by everyone, get completely canceled online, all because of you? Emily's pupils contracted. What do you mean, Emily Young? You'd be dead already if it weren't for me. Your brother didn't dare tell you the truth because he didn't want you to worry. Ever since you got sick, your family has been drowning in debt. To pay for your treatment, your brother had nowhere else to turn. I was the one who helped him out. We had a 5-year contract. He wasn't actually my boyfriend, Serena emphasized maliciously. He was just a dog I kept on a leash. To pay back the money, to scrape together enough for your medical bills. Do you have any idea what he went through every day for those 5 years? Taking ice-cold baths in the dead of winter, searching for pearls buried in the snow, diving into freezing rivers to find a lost hair tie. Once, he almost drowned. He lived utterly without dignity. When I told him to kneel, he knelt. I put a dog leash around his neck and made him crawl on the floor. Not only could I order him around, but my friends could too. Remember that time he came to see you, and his arm was bandaged? I did that. Who told him to disobey me and go to that audition? I couldn't stand seeing him try to get ahead, so I broke his arm. Over these 5 years, didn't you notice your brother getting thinner and thinner, his health getting worse? That's because I frequently took him to have his blood drawn. And that new piercing he suddenly had in his ear, I did that myself with a needle. Oh, right. I also have some paintings here. Why don't you take a look and tell me how good they are? Serena excitedly pulled out her iPhone, quickly finding the portraits in her photo album. Look, you paint too, so you understand the artistic merit of these, right? The colors, the blood, this nude study. Aren't they captivating? The model for all of them was your brother. And the blood? That's real too. Serena watched Emily's expression closely as she spoke, but the reaction was somewhat disappointing. Emily didn't cry, nor did she scream. The only signs were the redness creeping into the corners of her eyes and her trembling eyelashes. He was her own brother. How could she possibly remain completely unmoved? Emily tore her gaze stiffly away from the iPhone screen. Through gritted teeth, she spat. Serena Sinclair, you're insane. Serena looked down and chuckled softly. Maybe I am insane, but you're just a money pit, a burden. If I were you, I'd have killed myself long ago. At least then I wouldn't be dragging him down. Don't look at me with such hatred. If you want to hate someone, hate yourself. After all, it's because of you that Ethan is now stuck with a two-faced hypocrite like Zara Sinclair. Don't be fooled just because things look fine on the surface. In private, Zara treats him just like a dog too. Serena Sinclair spoke as if to herself, her gaze provocative, hoping to see Emily Young break down. But she didn't. Even the data on the heart monitor remained stable, showing no fluctuations. This wasn't right. She shouldn't be this calm. A mentally immature girl like Emily Young should be the easiest to incite. She should be angry, demanding answers, questioning Zara Sinclair's character after hearing all this, then calling Ethan Young to demand he break up with Zara Sinclair. Maybe her method was wrong. She needed to add more fuel to the fire, but not too aggressively. Pressure needed to be applied judiciously. A slap followed by a sweet treat, a mix of hard and soft tactics. Serena Sinclair stood by the bed, arms crossed, projecting an air of superiority. Once Zara Sinclair gets tired of playing around, she'll dump your brother. The news about him being kept will spread all over the internet. Ethan Young just happens to have a movie waiting for release, but I imagine no theater would dare risk screening it then. If Ethan Young were willing to leave Zara Sinclair on his own, I'd be willing to help him out. She finally revealed her true intentions. A look of understanding dawned on Emily Young's face. So, you want me to convince my brother to break up with her? Serena Sinclair feigned empathy. You're the only family he has left. He'll listen to you. Besides, we're both doing this for his own good, helping him get away from trash. Before you call someone else trash, maybe take a look at yourself. No, calling you trash is a compliment. You're an animal. The words were not only damaging but deeply insulting. Emily Young continued her mockery. The biggest difference between humans and animals is the ability to restrain oneself with morals. I don't see a shred of a moral baseline in you. Serena Sinclair didn't speak, her eyes narrowing in a silent warning and threat. Emily Young wasn't afraid. At first, I was curious why you showed up here. Now I understand. You're resentful. You're jealous that my brother likes Zara Sinclair and not you. You're jealous they're happy together, and you want to break them up. But let me tell you, even if my brother and Zara Sinclair break up, he won't like you, let alone get together with you, because you don't deserve his kindness. My brother is the softest-hearted person. If you had been even a little bit kind to him back then, he wouldn't have left without looking back. As she spoke, Emily Young's voice finally began to tremble. In the wreckage of Ethan Young's life, Serena Sinclair had held an initial advantage. Ever hear of the suspension bridge effect? If Serena Sinclair had been willing to swallow her pride back then, to approach Ethan Young without malice, even just quietly keeping him company, offering a few words of concern, handing him a glass of water when he was thirsty, he would have cherished it. Her brother was truly easy to soothe. He still remembered the first piece of candy she'd given him when they were children. Emily Young fought back tears, her expression resolute. Serena Sinclair, you underestimate me. I used to have suicidal thoughts, but not anymore. I'll fight to live, because my brother saved this life. He's the one I need to thank, not you. Your words can't hurt me. I have a heart condition, but that doesn't mean my brain is sick. My heart is weak, but that doesn't mean my mind is. I may be young and not well educated, but I know you should measure yourself before measuring others, and question your own heart before blaming anyone else. Before you judge others, maybe check if you're such a spotless white sheet yourself. Emily Young's voice was strong and clear. Though seated, she seemed to stand taller than Serena Sinclair. She was no longer the weak, helpless girl from 3 years ago, who would doubt herself at just a glance from Serena Sinclair. She wasn't a burden. She was the sister her brother had fought to raise. She was Emily Young, the living embodiment of his hope. Serena Sinclair's breath hitched. Her thoughts blurred. Meeting Emily Young's eyes, she actually felt a flicker of fear. Why fear? Emily Young was so small and fragile, her face deathly pale, as if the slightest provocation could put her life in danger. Don't you feel even a little bit guilty? After all, Ethan Young did so many disgusting things for you. He hurt himself to save you, sacrificed his own happiness, nearly died, and now might ruin the career he just managed to build, all for you. If my brother got sick, I'd sacrifice myself for him too. So, more than guilt, I would just love him more, because that would make him happy. Faced with Serena Sinclair's relentless pressure, Emily Young didn't back down. She countered, "Do you feel guilty?" "What would I feel guilty about? You fell in love with my brother. Do you regret what you did to him back then? Do you feel guilty?" Images flashed through Serena Sinclair's mind. She bit her lip hard to keep her voice from trembling. Emily Young spoke with calm composure. "Serena Sinclair, coming here today will only make my brother hate you more. This is the worst decision you've ever made." A sharp pang shot through Serena Sinclair's chest, like a steel wire tightening around it, making it hard to breathe. She clutched her chest, swaying slightly. People like Serena Sinclair were headstrong and arrogant, believing they excelled at manipulating others. When Ethan Young proved impervious to her persuasion, she decided to target Emily Young. If Emily listened, she'd convince Ethan to break up. If she didn't listen, her words would still affect her. Heart patients were known to be fragile. If Emily got overly agitated and something happened, wouldn't Ethan lose his mind? He might even blame Zara Sinclair, since Emily's accident would have happened under Zara's care arrangements. Tonight, Serena and Sinclair had come prepared for mutual destruction. If she couldn't be happy, no one else could either. But she hadn't expected this outcome. As Emily Young said, she had underestimated her. The 18-year-old girl's mental fortitude and resilience far surpassed others her age. Serena Sinclair's state of mind could only be described as fleeing in disarray. She met Emily Young's eyes so much like Ethan Young's, equally cold, equally detached, conveying a disdain that seemed to say, Asterisk, this constant chasing you do? It's truly undignified. Asterisk. Serena Sinclair suffered successive defeats and finally fled in panic. Watching Serena Sinclair's retreating figure, the tension gradually eased. Emily Young clutched the tablet in her hand. She had almost thrown it like a weapon moments earlier. Emily Young turned the tablet over, her hand trembling as she stopped the video recording. It was impossible not to be affected. All these years, she hadn't known anything. She had failed so badly as a sister. Tears fell uncontrollably, landing like heavy drops on the back of her hand. A dull ache started in her chest. Emily Young forced herself to breathe deeply, wiping the tears from her face before sending the video to Zara Sinclair on WhatsApp. The video was long and took time to upload. Emily Young didn't dare relax, curling up and enduring the pain, watching until the video successfully sent before finally pressing the call button. Her brother had raised her well. She wouldn't allow herself any mishaps. She had to live. She absolutely had to live. Only then would Ethan Young's past struggles not be in vain. Emily Young gasped for breath, the pain overwhelming. She managed to press the call button before collapsing back onto the bed. Clutching her chest, she forced herself to take slow, deep breaths. Using her right hand to push against the mattress, she pulled herself into a sitting position, leaning heavily against the headboard. In just a few seconds, her face had drained of color, and beads of cold sweat dotted her forehead. She fumbled under her pillow for the good luck charm her brother had gotten for her, clutching it tightly. I have to live, she thought. Asterisk, I have to repay my brother. Asterisk, Emily Young's eyes were bloodshot, tears welling up. Asterisk, Mom, Dad, please watch over me from heaven. Asterisk, her name was Emily Young. Diagnosed with a heart condition at birth, doctors had said she wouldn't live past 10. But now she was 18. Her parents had named her Emily, hoping she would not just survive, but live happily. She wouldn't let them down, and she wouldn't break her brother's heart. In the 2 years after their parents passed away, her heart condition had flared up again. The entire burden of the family fell on her brother, Ethan. She'd overheard relatives whispering behind their backs. That poor Ethan Young. Such good grades, and the college entrance exams were right around the corner when this happened. If it were just him, it would be manageable. Earn his own money, spend his own money. But no, he has a sister with a heart condition, and that illness costs a fortune. Not wanting to be a burden, she had contemplated suicide several times. But it was her brother who had grabbed her hand tightly and said, You've never been a burden. You're my hope. Their parents had been gone for 7 years. Ethan had raised her, teaching her many things along the way. Like his favorite saying, care too much about what others think, and you just end up dealing with all their crap. Hearing the approaching footsteps of doctors and nurses, an unprecedented will to live surged through Emily Young. Soft music played in the car. Ethan Young, who was driving, suddenly felt a strange flutter in his chest. It wasn't painful, but the lingering discomfort gave him an inexplicable sense of unease. He kept one hand on the steering wheel and gently rubbed his chest with the other. What's wrong? Zara Sinclair had noticed his unconscious gesture and looked at him with concern. Are you feeling unwell? Ethan shook his head. No, I'm fine. It was 8:30 in the evening. They had just finished dinner and were heading home. A light rain was falling outside, the car moving through the drizzle, wipers swishing rhythmically. Zara Sinclair pulled out her iPhone and saw a text message from Emily Young that had arrived 15 minutes ago. Emily texted me earlier, she said, tapping on the notification. It's a video. What is it? Ethan asked. Just as Zara was about to open it, Ethan's phone rang. Is this Mr. Young? Your sister Emily Young's condition has suddenly deteriorated. She needs surgery immediately. Please come to Seabreeze General Hospital right away. Ethan Young's heart felt like it stopped. It was as if his ears were filled with water, the voice on the phone buzzing, indistinct, his whole world blurring. He spun the car around immediately, his face etched with a panic she had never seen before. In a quiet car, Zara Sinclair had heard everything too. She knew how much Emily meant to Ethan. Seeing the veins bulging on the back of his hands as he gripped the wheel, she started. Ethan, stay calm. Your sister will be. Ethan cut her off immediately. I am calm. I'll be fine, and my sister will be fine too. Though his words were steady, his mind was racing. How could her condition suddenly worsen? She seemed perfectly fine when he left her that afternoon. How could things have escalated to needing immediate surgery? The answer had to be in that video Emily sent. Zara tightened her grip on her iPhone, focusing all her attention on Ethan, worried he might lose control. Ethan's voice was tight. Didn't you say Emily sent you a video? What was it? Zara opened the video. There was no picture, only audio. As soon as the voice started, Zara instantly recognized it. Serena Sinclair. Her expression darkened, and she stopped the video before it finished. I'll tell you when we get to Seabreeze General, she said. Ethan's voice was hoarse. Okay. When they reached Seabreeze General Hospital, they ran straight for the elevator. Zara saw the utter helplessness in Ethan's eyes. She squeezed his hand, tried to offer comfort. Don't worry. Emily's recent test results were good, and they found a successful heart match, remember? Ethan kept his head down. Stepping out of the elevator, they hurried towards Emily's emergency room. A nurse saw Ethan and immediately approached him with a consent form. Mr. Young, your sister Emily is in critical condition and requires immediate heart surgery. The procedure carries significant risks, and we cannot guarantee success. If you consent to the surgery, please sign here. Ethan had heard words like these before. Dr. Johnson had explained the risks in detail. Based on Emily's current condition, there was about a 30% chance of complications. A 70% success rate was considered high for heart patients, but plenty had been lost to that 30% risk. The doctor had told him to be prepared. Now that the day was here, he realized no amount of preparation could truly ready him. Ethan quickly signed the form, his hand cold and trembling. Only after signing did he ask, why did my sister's condition suddenly get worse? Facing his question, the nurse avoided his gaze. The patient was agitated by something. How could she be agitated when she was perfectly fine? She was in the best room, with nurses on duty at night, a caregiver, even security. Zara had never seen Ethan look so devastated, as if he were completely hollowed out. He had always projected an image of calm composure, someone seemingly invincible, always positive even in hardship, like resilient wild grass that couldn't be burned away. But everyone had a breaking point, even Ethan. His usual stoicism stemmed from caring deeply about very few people. When those few were threatened, his composure crumbled, and he risked falling apart. Ethan stared at the lit surgery in progress sign. For a moment, it felt like 7 years ago. His parents dead, his sister critically ill, his world in ruins. When grief and panic reached their peak, all expression drained away, leaving only numbness, like a machine grinding to a halt. His reaction slowed. He heard his own voice, distant, asking, I just saw her today. I gave her the good luck charm. She was fine. What exactly happened? What agitated her? Zara struggled to speak. In the video Emily sent, Serena Sinclair visited her. She said some things to Emily. Ethan clenched his jaw, forcefully swallowing the emotions churning in his chest. Zara couldn't help but hug him. I'm so sorry, Ethan. If I'd been more careful, assigned more people, prepared better, maybe this wouldn't have happened. How malicious could someone be? No amount of preparation could defend against such determined cruelty. Even if they had kept Serena Sinclair out of Seabreeze General, she would have found another way to contact Emily. It's impossible to guard against someone like that forever. The surgery lasted 10 hours, from dusk until dawn. Ethan didn't know how he endured it. Every minute felt like an eternity. Helpless, he found himself praying to his parents. Asterisk, Mom, Dad, please watch over my sister. Please don't take her away from me. Asterisk, they say hospital walls hear more prayers than church walls ever do. Hospitals are the threshold between life and death, places where joy and sorrow, separation and reunion, birth, aging, sickness, and death are just part of the everyday reality. After what felt like an endless wait, the surgery in progress light finally went dark. A doctor emerged from the operating room. Ethan scrambled to his feet. Doctor, the surgery. My sister. Your sister's fine, the doctor said. The surgery was a success. Ethan Young heard the words successful surgery and felt a wave of relief wash over him. His limbs suddenly felt weak, and he swayed slightly, but was too early to celebrate. Emily Young hadn't woken up yet, which meant she wasn't completely out of danger. Plus, the heart inside her now wasn't her own. There was still a risk of rejection later on. Emily Young was moved to the intensive care unit, and Ethan Young could only watch from outside. He looked at Emily Young's pale face, her frail body surrounded by machines. Even through the door, he could smell the pungent odor of antiseptic. He remembered the first time he'd carried his little sister to Seabreeze General Hospital, how she'd clung to his back, her voice weak. "Brother, do we have to go to Seabreeze General Hospital? I'm scared of needles and medicine, and staying in the hospital costs so much money." The girl who had been so terrified of the hospital had gradually gotten used to it. Knowing how hard things were for her brother, Emily Young never dared to complain in front of him. Every time she saw Ethan Young, she greeted him with a smile, trying to cheer him up with her words. She was the one who was sick, yet she was also the one doing the comforting. Zara Sinclair sent a text message, and soon Zachary Carter arrived with breakfast. She took Ethan Young's hand and had him sit down. "Eat something first, get some rest. You need strength to keep waiting." Zara Sinclair opened the container, revealing steaming hot congee. She scooped up a spoonful and held it to Ethan Young's lips. "It's not too hot anymore. Have some. You eat. You stayed with me all night and haven't eaten either. I'll feel better once I see you eat." Zara Sinclair held the spoon steady, her hand hovering. Ethan Young lowered his gaze, opened his mouth, and ate the spoonful of congee. Then he took the container from Zara Sinclair. "I can manage myself. You should eat too." Zara Sinclair said, "I'll eat in the car later. You should go home and get some real rest. I'll be fine alone." He had been so worried about Emily Young's safety that he neglected Zara Sinclair. Looking at her somewhat haggard face, Ethan Young reached out and tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Zara Sinclair tilted her head, rubbing against his palm, her cool ear brushing against his warm skin. "I've sent the video Emily Young sent me to your WhatsApp," she said. "After you watch it, stay calm. Please don't hurt yourself." She looked worriedly at the dark circles under Ethan Young's eyes. He said he was fine, but the redness in his eyes hadn't faded. "Okay, I understand." Ethan Young was trying hard to suppress his negative emotions. Zara Sinclair didn't feel comfortable leaving Ethan Young alone, so she specifically arranged for someone to keep an eye on him. Right now, Ethan Young's feelings, beyond sadness and worry, were likely dominated by anger and despair. Because of Serena Sinclair, Emily Young was in danger, nearly dying. When people are furious, they sometimes lose control and hurt themselves to vent. Zara Sinclair understood that feeling of powerless, suppressed rage. That's why she would find the instigator, drag her in front of him, and let him beat her to blow off steam. Once his anger was spent, he wouldn't harm himself. Zara Sinclair had always prioritized Ethan Young's well-being. Zara Sinclair got into the car and started eating breakfast, a sandwich paired with Red Bull. She felt a surge of energy, like she could take on anything. She had watched the video and was furious now. Every time she closed her eyes, Serena Sinclair's disgusting face flashed in her mind. 4 cars pulled up to the Sinclair family home. Zara Sinclair got out first, flanked by 8 bodyguards. The presence she projected was intense, like an approaching typhoon or tsunami. The family butler froze when he saw Zara Sinclair. "Miss, why are you back today?" "Can't I come back?" "Of course you can, miss. But why bring so many people?" He looked over the row of tall, imposing figures who clearly weren't to be trifled with. Everyone in the family knew Zara Sinclair didn't get along with them. 8 times out of 10, her visits ended in arguments. It was still early, and the family hadn't woken up yet. Maids were cleaning, and the chef was preparing food. Zara Sinclair walked past the butler. "Where's Serena Sinclair?" "The second miss is still asleep." A chilling smile spread across Zara Sinclair's face. "She can actually sleep?" Zara Sinclair went straight to Serena Sinclair's room, twisted the doorknob, and kicked the door open. With a loud bang, the entire door rattled, nearly off its hinges. Startled awake, Serena Sinclair scrambled out from under the covers, disoriented and groggy, her eyes darting around as if unsure where she was. When she saw Zara Sinclair, her face paled, and she asked hoarsely, "Why are you here? What are you doing?" With a dark expression, Zara Sinclair moved closer. Serena Sinclair panicked instantly, shrinking back like a frightened rabbit, her eyes wide with terror. Zara Sinclair didn't waste time with words. She got onto the bed, grabbed Serena Sinclair's flailing hand, and seized her hair with the other, yanking her onto the floor. A cold sneer played on Zara Sinclair's lips as she fought to control her fury. "Serena Sinclair, didn't I tell you to behave? Why did you have to court death?" Serena Sinclair's scalp tingled with pain, her face contorted. "What did I do?" Before she could finish, Zara Sinclair slapped her twice hard, once on each cheek. Serena Sinclair's vision went black, and a wave of dizziness hit her. If Zara Sinclair hadn't been holding her hair, she would have collapsed. Zara Sinclair raised her hand, her fingernail tracing lightly over Serena Sinclair's trembling eyelid, down her neck, like a knife hovering over her veins. Sometimes, I really just want to butcher you. Zara Sinclair spoke slowly, deliberately, each word laced with gritted teeth. Then, she grabbed Serena Sinclair's neck, lifted her up, and threw her forcefully onto the floor. She gestured to the bodyguards. "Take her!" Terrified, Serena Sinclair's lips trembled. "Where are you taking me?" "To hell." Serena Sinclair had never seen Zara Sinclair like this, terrifying, like a demon crawled out of hell. She wanted to run, but she didn't even have the strength to stand. Her courage had utterly failed her. She had to bite her lip hard to stop her teeth from chattering. The bodyguards lifted her from the floor, handling her like a bag of trash. As they left the room, they encountered Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair, who had been woken by the noise. Seeing her parents, Serena Sinclair cried out as if seeing her saviors. "Dad, save me. Zara Sinclair is trying to kill me." Mr. Sinclair's brow furrowed. Seeing Serena Sinclair, barely recognizable in the bodyguard's grasp, he roared, "Zara Sinclair, are you trying to tear this house down first thing in the morning? Put your sister down immediately." Zara Sinclair strode past him, not even glancing his way, and bumped his shoulder as she passed. Mr. Sinclair staggered. Seeing how blatantly Zara Sinclair ignored him, he followed her, furious. "Zara Sinclair, stop right there." "Oh, I almost forgot about you," Zara Sinclair said, turning around. She swung her hand back and slapped Mr. Sinclair across the face. "Like daughter, like father. You deserve this."